Magic conch shell? You mean like this?
Yo, what up, people? It's your boy Phil and your boy Josh back another week to discuss 2017, 2018.
2017, what? What is that? What's 2017? You said 27. We're here to discuss 2017 and 2718?
Or 27.
I was like, what? I was like, what year?
2017, 2018 slash
27,
discussion.
2018.
What?
Nothing.
27.
Yes.
27, 2018s.
You're 27, aren't you?
No,
You're like
27. How old are you? What the frick?
What is going on here?
I had to stop you guys. That was not funny at all.
The prodigal son has returned.
I have returned.
Wait, so
Yeah, I was like waiting for you to I was waiting for a cue for you to be like, oh, Zach's still not here yet. But like you kept going like, 27, what are you talking about? 2017, 2018? No, I'm talking about 20. I was like, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm back.
So you were both dead, but also listening to us talk.
Yes, subconsciously.
Okay.
So where have you been for the past 3
Yeah, where the heck
weeks?
have you been?
Well,
We thought you were dead.
Yeah.
I was dead,
Oh,
but I came back to life.
how?
So, funny story. I was hanging out with some friends, and we were walking down State Street, and dude in a giant black robe was like, "Hey, you like
Robe
video?"
or trench coat?
Both.
Okay.
He wore
That's
wore a
worse.
robe over his trench coat.
Oh, got it.
It was cold outside, so
Baby, it's cold. Sorry, wrong season.
yeah, don't interrupt my. What did he do? So then he was just like, "Hey, you like video games, huh?" I mean, at the time, I should have just realized that I was wearing a Pokemon t-shirt, but I took it as like, "Oh my gosh, he's magic. How'd you know?" And he was like, "If you watch this Game Boy," and he pulled it out, it was this beautiful, like Pokemon themed Game Boy.
Limited
He's like,
edition.
SP,
limited edition.
regular color.
No, SP
Okay.
Okay.
with like a really strong backlight. It's
Ooh,
beautiful.
Okay.
And he was
one of
like,
those
"If you want this Game Boy, like you need to give me your soul." And I was like, "Deal, done."
without a moment's hesitation.
Without a moment's hesitation. But then I went to a weekend Christian conference and I realized, wait, I'm not getting anything out of this because I don't have a soul. And it was really sad. And then I drove home. I slept on my bed. I thought about life for a couple weeks.
This is getting depressing. I'm cutting in now. Now I'm saving
At what
you.
point?
This is
At
not
what
funny
point?
anymore.
At what point are you passed out and not able to come to the?
That's
podcast?
what I was getting to.
So this happened over the. So this
This
whole
is what was happening over the course of a couple
2 weeks, a couple weeks.
In my state of depression, I went to Greenbush Bakery to find some peace and comfort in living. And then all of a sudden, I got knocked out by some brick that fell from the house above me.
Interesting.
And then you guys came by the other day, found me by Greenbush, and dragged my corpse here to the chair, and I woke up and
So in
Here
the
you
story,
are.
we found your corpse.
yeah.
We didn't resuscitate you.
We just
Nope.
were like,
We
oh,
brought
there he
you
is.
to Josh's apartment. We put you in a chair and set a mic up in front of you.
You guys were so
Because
desperate.
of course he's an audio. It's an audio podcast, so let's just put Zach's dead body in the chair, and he'll just
Yeah.
Nobody would know we're
No,
talking
no,
to a dead
no one
body.
you guys.
We kind
you guys
of got like started missing you, so we found your body.
I was about to say
yeah.
like you were so desperate to have me back. You were just
we're
like, "Hey guys, what do you think about this?"
We started
You like
crying.
if we had a video, you like lift my arms like, "I love the podcast. I'm having a lot of fun." Like
Do you remember Weekend at Bernie's?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it would be.
That's
Yeah.
what we were gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie.
That was a
so
stupid
much.
story. I kind of wish we had started over, but
No, that was a great.
we'll
story.
go along with it.
That was.
I'm
that
not
wasn't-
depressed.
That wasn't a story though. That was real.
That was real.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It wasn't real. Phil
Where
doesn't.
actually were you?
Phil doesn't know me. I was at home.
Did you say Phil doesn't know me?
You don't.
Phil don't know me.
You're a different person now.
You don't know me. Yeah. So I was just at home for Christmas break, just chilling at my house, playing video games because I like to play video games. That's a song. I'm not doing that off the top of my head because it would have sounded stupid if it was just me.
Either way.
Yeah. That was
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Wait, what video games were you playing? Just quick.
I was playing a lot of stuff.
Overwatch?
I was playing Overwatch.
We
just played that last night.
We did play that last night.
It was a good time.
It was a good time. I was killing it as Lucio. Definitely my main. Anyone who plays Overwatch.
Is that the skater guy that's like...
Yeah. Dude, that's like, give yourself to the rhythm.
Oh, yeah. It's like...
All this my jam.
I
I love it.
Yeah. He's a boss.
Yeah, I was playing Overwatch. A lot of Final Fantasy VII. That was probably my most played game over break. And
What is that for?
that is for
everything.
it's on a lot of systems.
Were you playing on the Vita?
No, I was playing it on my my computer.
OG originally released on PS1.
Yep.
But then
and
it's
I
been
have it
launched on.
Okay.
My goodness, everything is coming out of you today.
Everything.
Okay, you've already made that pop filter disgusting. I'm not losing another pop filter.
Already gone, my boy.
Oh no. You're gonna blow a hole through it.
Like an energy blast.
Yeah,
Anyway.
when we were setting up, I took a quick whiff of my pop filter and I just realized something was awry. And I was like, this is not a normal smell.
This doesn't smell like a pop filter.
Pop filter shouldn't smell.
What's
I played
that
the
smell? That smelly smell.
And then Josh proceeded to be like, here, I'll just Febreze it. And usually when you say Febreze something, you give it a quick spritz, but instead he like doused it like he was putting out a fire.
Yeah, he held it for like a minute. I can attest to that.
It's like using a can of
I saw it with my own eyes.
I was there, man.
A whole 60 seconds, dog.
It's like spraying a can of Raid on a bumblebee. Anyway,
That's a perfect
Spraying a
analogy.
can of Raid on a bumblebee.
So anyway, I was telling before, because you know who Jeff Dunham is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just saw him yesterday in Rockford. It was really funny, and we got to see he has a new character that he's testing, and he looks like a little lion kind of guy, and the premise is he's Trump's personal assistant. Is his character? Or like
are we
his
about to get
background.
political?
Oh no! I'm just more like we saw the show. and it was interesting. So if anyone's a Jeff Dunham fan, he has a new character that he's working on. So but-
Donald Trump.
like Regal Eyes, man.
Yeah.
Regal Eyes. But no. So where I was going with that is it was very interesting because my wife's dad's girlfriend was along, and she is very liberal, and so she had no idea who Jeff Dunham was. So then my brother-in-law was trying to explain to her, oh, this is Jeff Dunham's shtick. He has, these puppets and blah, 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 and he makes all these jokes. And all of them span a very broad range of people because he's got Bubba J, who's the hick. You have Walter, who's the right-wing, old, crotchety 70-year-old conservative. And then so you have all these different people. But then he was talking about, oh, my favorite is Ahmed the dead terrorist. And she was like, oh? And so it was just a very
That intonation of voice is caught by all.
yeah, I was
Right.
just watching her face as he was describing it, and it was just like it was a very interesting moment because I wasn't sure if she was about to just be like, I don't know if I can watch this anymore, or if it was gonna turn into like, oh, this is gonna be funny. So, but it was funny in general because it was like he isn't making fun of Islam; he's making fun of people who kill themselves in the name of whatever.
Yeah.
So, but it was really funny.
That's
There
good.
was
Nice.
he got punked, so they did a segment at the end of the show with Ahmed, and he had audience members writing questions, and they all gave him all the questions at the end of the thing, and so he's reading through it and he's like answering it. So it's kind of on the spot comedy, but using the character. It was really good. But one of the one he would read the name first, and then he'd read the question. So he gets to it and he's like, huge organ, and then like he was like huge organ, and then he like read it verbatim, and everyone just like lost it, and he like looked at it, and then he was just like, oh, I get it, and he literally just threw the card away. He didn't even read the question.
Huge organ.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
so he got Bart
awesome.
and Lee said, Mo,
Yeah.
I'm looking for Seymour Butts.
I want to see more. Amanda Hug and Kiss.
I need the man to hug and kiss.
Where's the guy gonna find a man to hug and kiss?
There's some other good ones too.
Oh,
But anyway,
yeah.
so he got that pulled onto him in the live show, and it was
That's
pretty
awesome.
funny.
That's
So,
awesome.
yup.
Guys, it's good to be back.
Is it?
Sorry for
Yeah, you
skipping out
abandoned
for
us
so
for a
long.
while.
I did,
Yeah.
and it wasn't out of depression. It was out of playing video games and having fun
And being home.
and being home. Yeah.
So, well, you're leaving us again in a year.
Well, maybe,
a
months.
year,
maybe not.
couple months.
I might be possibly studying abroad in Japan for a whole year. So I'll still be around, though. We'll figure some technologies at the point where I can communicate somehow.
Yeah, like 4 a.m. I'm not doing that.
Well, he's
No,
gonna be
it'll
he'll
be 4 in the
up.
morning
He'll
for
be
me.
up at 4 in the
that's
morning. I ain't
true.
waking up at 4. I'm making him do that.
Sucker.
Like 4 in the morning, I ain't doing that. I'm doing it. I still ain't doing it.
I'm still not.
Still ain't doing it.
I don't want you to do it. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. It's good stuff.
So what did I
Take it
miss?
away,
Yeah, we're all
host.
back. You missed. You probably already listened to the podcast.
I did listen to him, but I wanted
But-
to just like pretend like, oh, hey, what's going
Oh,
on?
hey, what did I miss? We talked about Star Wars quite a bit 2 weeks ago.
yep.
I do remember that.
I think that was mostly a Star Wars one. We joked about Wonder Woman for a little while.
I
will
will destroy you.
I believe in love.
Then I will destroy you.
That would have been a funny one to have you
Oh,
on.
I wish I was in there. I would have had a rowdy time with that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But we had a pretty rowdy time ourselves.
Oh,
and
yes.
then last week we talked about creative writing. So
Cool. I
it
wish
was
I
a
was in
fun
there.
time. It was a fun time.
It was good listen. I personally am trying to do more writing stuff and whatnot. So that's part of I wish I was on the last week's podcast because like you guys are sharing all the stuff you're doing and here I am just like sitting at home
Playing video games.
in my own filth playing video games.
I'm sure we'll do another one sometime when we have more updates on
Yep.
different things. So,
Different
Speaking
projects.
of creative writing, I wanted to give a couple shout outs.
Do it.
The band we talked about last week, Over the Sun, that our friend Nicholas Stubbs is in.
Stubby.
His band Over the Sun is releasing a new single and a new music video.
Ooh.
I don't know exactly when yet, but he said it's coming out real soon. So we're going to keep an eye out for that, and other music lovers as well should keep an eye out for that. And also, we also talked about Isaac last week, Isaac Wierzbinski, my wife's brother. He just released his album on Spotify. I think it might be on iTunes now. I'm not sure.
Cool.
But his band's
put the
called
link in.
Orchid Whales, and the album's called Sleeping In. Super
Nice.
good. Super, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like chill, like a indie rock sort of
Ooh,
feel to it.
it's my
but
jam.
It's super good. I think you'd like it.
I love
It's super
low-key
good.
stuff.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
yeah. So those are the two shout outs.
Dope.
And like I was saying before, Zach resuscitated himself somehow from the dead.
I got my soul back. I traded my Game Boy back.
So, yeah, I noticed you got a. Is that your red one over there? No,
That's Josh's.
Oh,
That's
okay.
mine. Yeah, he's
Okay.
borrowing it
Oh, you're borrowing it
because he lost
because
his.
he
Yep, I
gave
did.
it to him. Did you
Absolutely
actually lose
did.
your Game Boy?
Second
No, I
child.
left it in. Well, I brought it with me to. We've stated before. I'm part of the Christian ministry at UW-Madison called the Navigators. We went to this conference thing, and I brought my Game Boy with me just to play in the car because I'm that guy that I'm still playing. You know, when you've grown up your whole life playing games in event, like you got a long road trip, you grab your Game Boy.
You grab your Game Boy, absolutely.
So I brought that with me, and I left it in my rider's car.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought you were gonna say you left it at the hotel. or
no,
something.
oh,
was like,
I would have.
gosh.
I would have
No
freaked
wonder
out.
you traded your soul for a Pikachu one.
I need my game. The SpongeBob like little Game Boy sitting there's like, I don't need it.
I don't need it.
I need it. SpongeBob, Pinky.
Oh my gosh.
I need it. I love it.
Love it. So I wrote in the notes. Like I was discussing
wrote
before.
in
The
notes.
The notes that we're talking about 2017, 2018.
Yes.
And to discuss 2017 quick, I put the year of the Switch. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I feel like it was
Absolutely.
I feel like it
Yes.
was kind of
100%.
like the
yes,
Switch.
but there is more to it than there's more stuff than the Switch. There's
there's
a
more
whole
stuff
great
than the
wide
Switch,
world of
but the
games
Switch
that-
is like the thing
Yeah.
that kind of
It
dominated
flipped
last year.
gaming on its head.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot
Hard.
of the discussions coming out of 2017 now are like, what's the Switch going to do? What games
Yeah.
are coming to the Switch?
It definitely
Whatever.
pulled all the stops in one
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
And I think
that is-
that was a lot of people weren't expecting that because of the Wii U, but I think Nintendo
Yeah.
completely defied everybody's justifiably hesitant expectations.
Mhm.
True
and
that.
came out swinging. So I put that as the heading, and I'm sure you guys agree with that.
I do agree with that.
But yeah, to briefly discuss 2017 and then jump into 2018 and what we're hopeful for and whatnot. What are some highlights of things that you liked about 2017? Or controversies, fun things, games, shows?
I like how you looked at Josh. You're like, controversies mean fun things.
Controversies, fun things.
That's the only reason I'm on here. You're the voice. Phil's the voice of reason.
voice
That's
of
all
the
he
reason.
hosts. I'm the controversy guy because I get angry, and Zach's the fun guy because he just has fun with everything. It balances out.
Yeah.
Got to keep balance.
The Trinity.
The Trinity. We are the Trinity.
We are very different people from
The
each
gaming
other.
Trinity. But we all form the podcast.
We form the pop culture punks.
Is that our war cry?
Onward to battle.
Pop culture punks. I can't roll my tongue like that, so I can't do it.
Pop culture punks.
No, you just have to do it like at that
just-
SpongeBob episode when they're like, you know how they SpongeBob and Patrick with the magic conch can both do like oh, and then the one dude's like oh,
Magic conch shell. You mean like this? That's how he did it. He was like,
well, because SpongeBob and Patrick, do you know that clip, Phil?
It sounds familiar.
Because in that one, it's literally they both do it perfectly, where they're like, oh, la, 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 and then the other guy's like, oh, la, la. It's really disjointed,
like driving the demons out of him. Speaking of
like
tongues.
Dude, that would be a fantastic meme mashup video. Is to have someone in a church who's like, I can feel the spirit. I can feel
that-
the spirit. Just like,
Oh my gosh.
If we went to like a mega church and they're like, who needs prayer? Who needs prayer? Then he's like praying like, the power could praise be to Jesus. Magic conch.
Gosh.
Oh my goodness, this is gonna be a
I
rowdy
may
podcast.
clip that together for our intro. So if you're listening to this episode and this is the intro, this is what spawned
that might be
idea.
hard work because we were.
No, it won't be. It
Oh.
won't be.
Oh, so you're willing to put in this
I
little
won't,
ridiculous?
because that'll be funny. That'll be a joke that pays off.
That was great.
Oh.
Anyway,
No, we want to save it because we had a nice build up to it.
yeah.
So coming
So,
off
yeah,
of that
2018.
note, 27,
Yeah,
27. SpongeBob is still applicable to this day and age.
It is.
Are we doing like? I was thinking we should do top 5 games of 2017.
I
Do you have
didn't
that
put
later in the
anything
notes, or?
specific in the notes, so you guys can kind of go wherever you want.
Okay,
Let's do
so
okay. So we'll do top 5 games. Doesn't have to be games that came out in 2017.
no, I think it'd make it easier to do.
Here's
Well,
the
yeah.
here's
I
the
don't
hard
even think
part.
I played 5 new
If
games.
you
in 2017.
if you have 5 games Z that you want to talk about, go for it. But I was just looking through the list, and they're really like, I have probably 5 games that I played a crap ton, but I don't have 5 games specifically from 2017
came
that
out,
I were
okay.
like, oh, these were amazing.
Okay.
So
So how about we do top 5 games? You decide how you want to answer the question.
Okay,
Yeah.
If you
that's
want it
cool.
to be of this year, of last year, or
yeah.
just what you
I
played
will
last year.
tie it into what I love about
Yeah.
2017.
Either way, it
was a
has
big
to
part
be
of it.
last year, not like top 5 games of all time or something.
Right, yeah.
So
Cool.
you want to start off?
wait,
Start
Horizon Zero Dawn came out this year?
Yeah.
What?
in 2017?
Yeah,
Oh my
2017.
gosh. For some reason, I thought half the stuff. I'm looking at the
I know Horizon
2017
Zero
list, and I
Dawn
was
just
like,
feels like one of those games that's been out forever.
yeah,
because
but
it's
Well,
like
a lot of the
so,
really
like-
good games came out in like January, February, and March.
I think the
that's
problem is
so
a lot of
weird.
games came
Oh
out
my
last year
goodness.
that I wanted to play and I just never did.
Yeah.
So
No,
Yeah.
that's absolutely true.
maybe I'll just talk about the top 5 games that I have yet to play.
Yeah,
Alright.
I mean that could be like things because you're technically looking forward to 2018
Yeah.
by playing games.
So that's kind of
2017.
like my discussion.
Sure.
So Zach, you want to start off with what your games were?
Sure. Okay, so top 5. I didn't play like I kind of was the same. I didn't play too many games that came out in 2017, but I had like probably like 6 or 7. No, maybe 8 or 9 that came out this year, and most of them are games that like have already gotten awards and stuff. But the ones that I pulled out, these are ones that like, I mean, they're not for everyone because not everyone's a gamer, but they're all very good games in their own right. So okay, starting off, number 5.
That was good.
We're doing that.
Number 5. That's
5.
yeah. Let's see. Near Automata. I got that semi late into it was like the middle. I got it at a bad time because I would be playing it so much more if I had gotten it sooner, but I bought it like, I don't know if it was before I got the Switch or like in between. It was like during the summertime when like I was kind of dry on games, and then I was just like looking for anything to play that had like a good story and a good narrative. I think it was before Persona 5. I'm almost positive because I was just really itching for like an RPG game, and everyone was saying Nier Automata was really good, so I started playing it, and I got really into it. But then I was playing other stuff at the same time, and then Persona 5 came out. That's like all my time went into was that. So with Nier Automata, it was a very, very good game mechanically. I think that's probably the best part about it. The story is really interesting too. It's very like dystopian, all about civilization. The whole story and premise is basically like these alien robot machines basically like decimated humanity, so like androids are the only beings left. But like you're finding all these mysteries about like these weird, it's really weird, trippy story, but it's really interesting too. Like these robots basically are like forming humans, and it's really it's messes with your mind, but it's very interesting. Yeah, and
That's
the
not what I
gameplay.
thought that game was at all.
No, yeah, it's very interesting.
I
And
heard it's wrapped up in 3 major philosophies that all kind of drive the narrative, because there's like existentialism, but then there's also fatalism. There's also it's like one other one that I can't think of that
might need
are
to play
very
yeah,
I feel like everything I've seen makes it seem like a weird like
it's just this crazy,
weird, creepy like anime type game.
That's
where it's just
that's
like, I only
very
play this
much
'cause I
what it
wanna look
is.
at this.
But everyone was like, "Well, I'll play it because it's kind of like a frantic because it's made by Platinum, who's
Yeah,
known
it's a
for
very-
Bayonetta,
that's
Devil
like
May Cry."
Bayonetta, isn't
it plays
Yeah.
very, very well, and I think that's one of the things it has going for it is that like people have said all the time that like you can't really nail down what exactly it is because it's not like an arena fighter, but it's also not like because like there's sections where you just it's like Bullet Storm or like Bullet Hell games where it's like you're flying ships around and shooting stuff, but then it's also like action or what do you call it, like action exploration game where you're like going through these giant areas and open areas and just like fighting robots and stuff, and the combat's really good too. Or you're like doing other shooter segments or like side-scrolling segments. Like it's all this stuff mashed into it, but it works really well.
Is it role playing? Like, does it have a lot of like upgrade mechanics, or is it more like a
like you can like
action
upgrade your
adventure
weapons and stuff and get like all these different kinds of like giant axes or like these cool samurai swords and stuff. So it has that going for it and a bunch of side quests and whatnot. But yeah, that game, I'd say the reason why I put it at 5 is I didn't play it as much as these other ones, but like I acknowledge and appreciate how innovative of a game it was. Like having a really good story and having all these mechanics, but not really losing sight of like, because I think games that use a lot of stuff in it are just like, oh, we're going to throw in all these mechanics and stuff and do all this craziness. It almost like loses sight of what it's trying to be. And then it has real no direction. But like, because it has this deep, engrossing, crazy philosophical narrative, it's like, it kind of just guides you along for the story while you're just experiencing all this other gameplay. So that's good.
nice?
Number 4. Cuphead.
Ooh,
Everyone loves Cuphead. If you haven't seen it, check out, like, just watch a video. It is artistically probably people have been praising. I think it won like most artistic game of 2017 because it is based off of old school like 20s and 30s cartoons and animation.
And it's all the animations are made by hand.
Yep.
So they were all hand drawn and hand created.
Yep.
So it's not like, oh, they took an art style and then made the art the in-game assets around it. They actually really physically animated it by hand. So
Yeah.
which is insane.
It's so there is a video game Donkey. I know we mentioned him on here before. He had a great video because I think he put that in. He was talking about Cuphead and he was like showing one section where it was just this one boss, and he was like, okay, watch this flower guy, and he like took the clip like for each frame. He's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like was counting down. It was like 26 frames. He was like, okay, this person had to draw this flower 26 times for this amount of footage, and then like clicked it, and it was just this like just kind of like shot out and did like a little wave thing, and he was like 26 different drawings for like 1 second worth of animation, like 2 seconds worth of animation.
That's crazy.
It's insane. And yeah, so the animation's really good. That's definitely its best part. The gameplay is very fun, but it is the most frustrating, infuriating thing I've ever played. Not because it's broken, because like I think there's a difference between a game being difficult because it's it's the difficulty of the boss that you're fighting and the learning curve you have to learn, versus a game just being like pure jank and not being able, like it's just unplayable because
like they just make it so it's They make the gameplay itself difficult rather than like the learning curve and the people you're fighting difficult.
Exactly. So it is and I would say that's a negative, but that's what makes the game good is because it's like you want to just conquer these bosses and stuff. And I think that's what I love about this game so much because Josh made me play Dark Souls one time, and I was using colorful language, and I threw the controller. I was like, I literally got whiplash because I like whipped my head, and I was like, I can't take it anymore. And that was the first boss. That was like the very first boss of the game. Took me like 20 minutes.
I wish I had those texts from when I first played it.
Oh my gosh! I'm
wonder
sure
if
if
I
I
could
dug,
find those.
yeah, if I
Some choice words in there.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
I don't
it
think
was-
I cursed or anything,
no.
but it was just like 5,000 texts in a
just
row.
pure.
And like immediately after I texted him, I packaged it up and shipped it in the mail like that day.
yeah he literally
I like got the game, put it in, played it for like 2 hours, repackaged it up and shipped it back and got my return.
Can you search?
Just put like a 1-star review on Amazon,
let's
like
try
bad game.
bad game. I couldn't get good.
I know good.
Yeah,
Couldn't get good.
that's funny.
Yeah,
That's
But
good though. That's probably one reason I'll never play Cuphead, but I can
Yeah.
appreciate like Dark Souls. I can appreciate why it's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just probably never gonna play it.
Yeah, and
maybe
I-
for the Switch, but
yeah,
we'll see.
and that's my thing is it's like aesthetically, I think that's why I can get behind Cuphead is because it's like an aesthetically I like that style and I can continually look at it and like not saying that Dark Souls isn't like aesthetic because it's a beautiful game, but and also too it's the 3D maneuvering
Lot more
versus
stuff
a platforming.
Yeah.
So there's much less stuff to pay attention to, but it's still difficult. So that's a very good game. I think Phil's a little loud, but
Am I?
possibly.
You're fun.
I think it's your headphones.
Maybe it's my
Yeah.
headphones. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do have crappy headphones. But
Yeah, $20 cost headphones. That'll do that.
that'll do. But
Number 3.
number 3. Number 3. The robot's back.
Number 3.
Okay, this was difficult because these are both. I'll try to. Sorry, I'm kind of taking up all the time.
Oh, you're good.
I recommend both of these games to like anyone who's like doesn't even have a background in video games. I recommend these two. These are like the most universal ones on my list. Super Mario Odyssey and A Hat in Time. I put them on the same platform because both of them.
What's a hat in time?
Hat in Time. Well, good question, Phil. What is a Hat in Time? It is this indie 3D platformer game created by Gears for Breakfast is their group name. And it was a Kickstarter from a long, long time ago. I forgot when it originally started, but it finished this year in October, I think. And it's so good.
Is it for the Switch?
No,
It's coming
It's
out
coming to the
at some
Switch.
point.
Oh, okay.
Not in the far future, I
But
think.
it's on PS4, PC,
Yep, I think just PS4 and PC. PS4 and PC, I'm pretty sure.
not
that's
on
it.
Xbox.
I don't think it's on Xbox.
Because nothing is on Xbox. 'Cause Xbox sucks.
It might be on Xbox, but I'm
Sorry.
pretty sure it's just
Shots fired.
Shots fired. I think it's just PS4 and PC. But the reason why it's so good is because it takes all the amazing elements from like Banjo-Kazooie, from like Mario 64, Mario Sunshine. Like there's even in between levels that are just like pure platforming stages, and they totally. Do you remember those like platform stages in Mario Sunshine where you didn't have the flood backpack? It was just like the moving bricks and stuff.
Never played that.
Well, just get off this show right now.
Leave.
You're not a real gaming fan.
Not a real gamer. Well, Josh, I'll just look at Josh while I'm talking because I'm just not going to. We got a casual
Talk
in here.
to the hand.
Casual.
You pleb.
No, he's not. You're not a pleb.
I'm not a pleb. I'm just a casual.
Filthy casual.
Phil.
Wow.
Casual. Gamer tag.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be
Ooh.
filthy casual.
I like it.
Dude, you absolutely should do that.
I can't give up a Poonsum Killer, though.
Yes, you absolutely
It's my
can.
heritage.
It's a
I have
sucky
to,
name.
I have to embrace my heritage.
Where's it? All right. Where did it originate from?
Are we going into that discussion now?
No.
All right. I'll finish off.
You
This.
keep
Yeah.
going.
Okay. I'll keep going to finish. I'll
Just pocket that somewhere.
try to keep this short.
I'll inject it when it's necessary.
But yeah, it's a indie platformer that just took all the best elements from like great platforming games, and I think that was like the original dream behind it, was that like there was no, at the time when they were first starting it, I forget what the creator's name is, but he's like somewhere from Europe, but he was saying how like there's no good 3D platformers in this day and age, and that was true at the time. Like I think it was like 2013, and there really wasn't, like, besides Mario games, it's like what else is there?
Yeah, nobody's really creating any.
Exactly. So they kind of took it on themselves to make this game that's like a 3D platformer, and It did not as well as Ukulele money-wise. Well, no, this is the thing. It is much, much higher rated than Ukulele. Ukulele had like $1 million worth of backing. I think Hat in Time only had like 300,000, 400,000, and it did like exponentially better game ratings-wise. Yeah, I could go on and on about that one, but that game is...
That sounds interesting. I have never heard of that before.
It's so good, and it's super fun too. Like,
if it comes out for the Switch, I might have to check that out.
Yeah, I recommend it to anyone who's like, look, and it's like it moves really well too. Like, it's just a super fun platformer and stuff. And speaking of platformers, Mario Odyssey, everyone knows was amazing, and like I'm not going to go too much in depth with that because like everyone knows.
People know what that is. And
people know what it is.
We've hyped it before too.
And yeah, so I put them on the same level because actually there's a YouTuber that Josh and I watch called The Escapist. Yeah, I think his like the guy who does Yahtzee. Yeah. He was doing a top 5 list, and like he summed up my feelings. He summed up what I was feeling about the two games because he was saying like I can't judge a Hat in Time as I do with Mario Odyssey because Mario Odyssey is made by Nintendo, which is gonna like chisel everything to perfection, just have like everything be pixel perfect. And then he said it was like a checklist of like everything was perfect, everything was like, finesse. But he was saying with a Hat in Time, like it's from an indie developer. Not everything is perfect per se, but it's just such an endearing and like well written, fun, enjoyable, happy game that it's like, it stands almost on the same. I say it stands on the same platform as Mario because it's like the difference between the two is that Nintendo's a giant company that has the power and has the money to just like perfect their game, whereas this company was just starting up for their first game. So yeah, a little fun story with that. All right, sorry, I'm taking all the wind out of your conversation. Hopefully this is okay.
One.
No, yeah, keep going.
No, number 2.
Oh.
Those were both number 3.
Someone doesn't know how to count.
I'm an English major. I don't know how to count. I don't know what comes after 4.
I don't know how to.
Anyway,
I read books, not numbers.
Correct.
I read books, not numbers.
All right, number 2, Persona 5. Oh, so good. Sorry, that was a Persona 5. Persona 5.
Don't apologize for who you are.
Can't recommend this game to everyone because it is no. It's rated M, and there is some it's not like it's part of the narrative. There's like some odd stuff, but it's not like something where you're like, call the PTA or call the school board and tell them that your kids need to stop playing this game. But your kids shouldn't be playing it because it's mature. That means 17 and up. It's a super, super, super good JRPG. I was like, 2015, while I was in Japan, all they had was this like one trailer, 50 seconds, where it just showed like these 5 chairs with like a ball and chain attached to them, and it was just like, you're a slave, do you want emancipation? And it said Persona 5. I was like, just super stoked so like 2 years I was waiting. I remember when I like came back home, I reserved like the super special edition as soon as possible. Got that, like lived up to my expectations. The narrative is just incredible. It keeps you going, and it like even if like the RPG elements, which are really good, it's a turn-based game, which is not everyone's cup of tea. Even if you're not a fan of that, the story is just so like interesting, and you get so attached to the characters, and like they're just so well written that you just like want to keep seeing what's happening, and that makes it just super playable. I have not beaten the game, and I've plugged in about 98 hours into it. So
I've heard people say like 150, 160.
It is a
like
long game, but it's good though, because actually there was a time where like I wasn't playing it because I didn't want to finish it, but then I found like that's how good it was. Is I was putting it off because I was like, I don't want this to end. But now that it's like the point I'm reaching now is where I'm realizing like it is almost the perfect amount of time for this kind of narrative. And there is a huge turn. I won't say what it is. It's a spoiler, but it like sealed the deal for me as being like one of my favorite, probably top 10 games of all time. Because I am a huge Persona fan. It's an RPG series. And this
Persona, for people who don't know, is a very strongly narrative-based game. So it's like people are like, oh, anime, JRPG, blah, but it's very... Because you, Phil, love Persona 4, but you had never played it, and you were actually super apprehensive.
I was initially turned off by it because it's too like so narrative-based, but once I got like a couple hours into it, I was like addicted to it. But I could see why certain types of gamers wouldn't play it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But if you give it a chance and go into it without expectations, I think
it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, I think if you can get past like the high school stuff.
And even then, it's not that. I think with every single Persona game, the initial like high school thing, you're kind of like, okay, here we go. But as soon as they show like what the conflict is in the story, then you're like,
yeah. Once it gets to like the mystery and
the
all
mystery
that
of
stuff,
each,
then you're like, frick, I want to figure out what the heck is going on.
Then it gets super
here.
interesting.
Yeah.
And Persona 5 just knocks it out of the park in every way. It takes all the best elements from its previous successors, and it's just well written, and go on and on about that one. But yeah, that's number 2. And number 1, drum roll please.
I probably already know what it is.
1-2 switch.
Oh, dang, I was trying to think of something. I was like, number 1 is Price is Right for the Wii.
Oh gosh.
No, Legend of Zelda BOTW, aka Breath of the Wild. And this will be a good segue for Josh, because Josh wants to talk about Breath of the Wild.
Yup.
It's so, being a Zelda fan, it's not a Zelda game, and it's a good thing that it's not, because like originally I didn't really want it to be like another Majora's Mask or another Ocarina of Time or another Wind Waker, but I wanted it to just be a good Zelda game. And like it's not, there's still dungeons in there, there's still the things, there's like classic elements from Zelda, but the open world and the exploration is like, you cannot compare it to anything else. Like I've played Skyrim, I've played Minecraft, and like I get bored 20 minutes in. Like if I find a really good, interesting quest, it's fun, but then after that I'm like, I just don't feel like I'm exploring or making a difference. But in Breath of the Wild, I think Dougie said this, so I don't want to like copy his words, but he said along the lines of like Breath of the Wild, literally you're just like you feel like everything you come across was meant, like you were meant to come across all the things that you see. It's not like you're just finding these bugs, you're finding these random things. It's like the whole world is for you to explore. So like you can quick travel, you can do all that stuff, but it almost is more fun to traverse and just like listen to that beautiful piano melody and, you know, run across the plains and stuff. And it looks beautiful. It's such a good game. I could go, that's another one I could go on and on about. And that and Persona 5 were really close to each other, but I think Breath of the Wild pulled out on top because I am not an open world gamer, but I'm a huge Zelda fan, so I guess I would have bought it regardless. But I've never been a fan of the open world formula, and I know we talked about that one. Our really early podcast, we had a whole discussion about open world games, and I was excited to see where Zelda would go. And I remember being like, oh, it's going to be like Skyrim, but Zelda, but in my opinion, it's better than Skyrim.
Yep.
Which probably triggers a lot of people, but
no.
But hey,
so I'll chime in now if that's cool. So my
name is Zach. Thanks for listening to my top 5 games of 2017.
My name is Zach with Pop Culture Punks, and these are my top 5. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel.
Subscribe. Leave a like. Leave a comment below on what you think. I'm a YouTuber now.
Gosh. So I'm gonna list I'm not gonna call them my top 5. I think they're gonna be my 5 games that I appreciated the most this year. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I thought like, oh my gosh, this was the best game ever the entire year, and there are no other games that were better. Don't necessarily agree. I'm sure there's like I still have Horizon Zero Dawn, but I haven't touched it yet just because I've been playing Overwatch and other stuff. No, it's resting at like a 92 right now on Metacritic, which is like stupid high and is really hard to get. But there were Horizon.
Oh, okay.
It's like up in the 90s, I think. But there were some other games this year that I really, really did like that I'm not putting them as my top 5 because I think they're perfect or they're flawless, but I just thought that they were a great addition to the library of video games that I own. One of them is, and these are not in order of importance, so I'll pick up off where Zach was saying, is definitely Breath of the Wild. That's one of them. Having just recently been spending a lot of time in Skyrim for the Switch, it's weird because Zelda and Miyamoto, when he was developing it, said he took a lot of inspirations from Skyrim. I think it was
Keiji Aonuma.
Was it Aonuma?
I think
I always
Aonuma's
think
the creator,
Miyamoto. Yeah. So Aonuma, who makes Zelda, said he played a whole bunch of open world games that inspired him to want to make Breath of the Wild.
He said like
this
Grand
way.
Theft Auto 5, Skyrim,
Yep.
all the like big name popular open world games.
And it's really interesting because having played Breath of the Wild and having gone back to Skyrim, I think Bethesda needs to look at Nintendo now and do what Nintendo did. And I say this because I was playing recently, and I was playing through one of my favorite quest lines from when I played Skyrim on the 360 back when it first launched in 2012, 2011. And there's so much stuff that it's like, I think you summed it up perfectly, Zach, when you said that everything feels like you're supposed to find that. Yeah. You know, it's super bonkers, it's super stupid and super weird, but you're supposed to find it, and it's supposed to have some kind of payoff, and it's supposed to be kind of weird and quirky. Whereas I think with Skyrim, it was just like some of the stuff that the quests that I were doing just like weren't good. Like just weren't, you know, it's like, but this is like a main quest in the game, and it's just like, it's fine, but you're basically telling me to go run over here and then travel across the map over here, which takes forever.
Right.
You know, and then you're running into stuff that can kill you and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, it's just like mediocre. It felt mediocre after playing Breath of the Wild.
One of the things I just realized, I'm just saying this just to help prove your point, the better articulate what I was feeling about Zelda. The reason why I would put it over Skyrim, in my opinion, is because in Zelda, you have a multitude of ways to tackle situations.
Absolutely.
And that is the big thing. Even like the puzzles in the game and stuff are just like, there's just so much versatility in terms of how you do stuff and how you handle stuff. And I think that's a huge step forward for, I mean, Nintendo's always been innovative with their games, but I think like for a Zelda game of all things, because Zelda's always been very linear in terms of like, you go to the temple, you beat the temple, you solve these puzzles, you beat the boss, go to the next one. But in this one, it's so different in terms of like how you tackle puzzles, how you fight bad guys, how you beat bosses. So, and Skyrim just doesn't, like, other than running and jumping and slashing your sword and using spells, it's not much outside of that.
Well, and I think that's why I'm really interested and excited to see a new Elder Scrolls game, is because I think, but it also makes me worried because Bethesda isn't known for making innovative combat. They're not known for making, you know, a cool system to help make walking and traversing, because I think that's what made Breath of the Wild so awesome, is I didn't have to get some crazy perk to some crazy high level to climb a mountain. You just climb the mountain, you know, or if I'm fighting, if I want to
Elder Scrolls, you can just jump up mountains. You don't need to climb.
You have to glitch jump up mountans.
Yeah.
You can't just
which is probably more realistic.
And that's exploiting.
That's exploiting the game versus using the game's mechanics.
Correct. Yeah. And so it's like, yes, you can do that, but there's part of me where it's like, I don't want to walk around this whole thing. Like, I need to just, here we go, jump up of this. Okay, I'm kind of stuck here because the game I'm not supposed to be able to step here, but the game's kind of glitching out, so I can just jump, and then next thing you know, you're all at the top. Whereas Breath of the Wild, if you want to climb whatever mountain in the game, you just walk up to it and you start climbing. You might not have the endurance to climb it, but again, that's an in-game mechanic that's designed to encourage you to then go do something, versus Skyrim, where I felt like there's so many things that I could do, but then I'm fighting against how the game is designed to do it a certain way, because the way the game is trying to make me do it is stupid and boring, and I don't want to do it that way, at least in my opinion. The other thing, too, that I think makes Breath of the Wild so good versus Skyrim, and the only reason I'm comparing them is because in a way they're not comparable games. They're trying to do very different things.
It is. Yeah,
I would argue they're doing very different things.
And Skyrim came out much earlier.
Yeah,
because for its time, Skyrim was revolutionary.
Oh yeah, and so I'm not trying to like pick on Skyrim and say like, see, you can't be Breath of the Wild, because it's a 5-year difference. There's 5 years that went into development. I feel like you could compare it
more to like a Horizon Zero Dawn or something.
I haven't played Horizon, and I don't think I could even compare it to that either, because again, they're not doing the same thing. But I think like
because I see Skyrim as like a role playing game. Like the point of the game is exploration and like creating a character and building on the character.
Sure.
Whereas Zelda is like an action role playing game taking place in like an open world setting, which Horizon Zero Dawn is more focused on the exploration, climbing mountains and stuff, less about like building your character into some sort of thing. So.
Sure. But yeah, so again, it's not. I'm more talking about Skyrim because I think the majority of mass market comparisons have been made between those two games, and I think I don't know, for whatever reason, if someone's interested in one versus the other, I would just say check out Zelda, because like Skyrim,
we had a younger cousin who like he's not a huge gamer. He likes the popular stuff, like
he's a huge Rocket League fan.
Huge Rocket League, huge Overwatch.
Yeah.
But like other than that, he doesn't really play other games. But he got his own Switch, and he loved Zelda. He was like addicted to that game, and he had never liked. I remember even us as little kids playing Zelda, and he was always just like, "Oh, I want to play, I want to play like Mario Strikers," which is still a great game, but it was that fact of like he was always kind of put off by Zelda, but he was so into Breath of the Wild and was like playing the game and like telling us about all the stuff he was collecting and like all the weapons and armor, just all that stuff. So if that's not a good sign of someone who's not really a Zelda fan, really enjoying
And I think
the game,
I feel when I was playing Breath of the Wild, and I think this is one of the payoffs that I've started trying to be more critical of certain games, is what's the payoff going to be when I do this? That's why I can't play Destiny. I can't play Destiny because, yeah, I'm sure it was fun when I played the first game to like run strikes and like, oh, I got a legendary engram and all this stuff. But there hit a point where it's like, I played this game for 3 hours on a Saturday night. I've gotten absolutely nothing. Why am I doing this? Like, there's no point.
I'm
doing
this existential crisis.
Yeah, basically like an existential gamer crisis where it's like, I'm not, I'm not doing this. It's like, well, I'm doing it to fight in the Crucible. Well, why? Why am I doing that?
I'm just gonna get killed by
I'm just gonna get
everyone.
murdered because I'm not good enough. And
Yeah.
it just kind of like builds off where I felt like it wasn't really worth anything versus, okay, you grind to get this gear, and then this gear unlocks these other quest lines, and then so then it's like, oh, I do want to spend the time and get this gear, because if I can get this gear, then I can unlock this other stuff to do, and then it kind of builds off from there. Whereas with Zelda, that's what made exploring to me and getting some of this other stuff fun, is there's a payoff of like, you don't have to, you could literally start the game when you walk out of the first cavern and go fight the final boss. Like, you can literally just walk and go do it. Like, Jordan did it, basically.
He almost beat it. But
Yeah, and he almost beat the final boss by like the first 20 minutes, just like getting up and just walking over there and doing it. But what I thought was super dope, and it's not really like a spoiler. You've beaten the game, right?
No, not yet.
Well,
Hold off on it.
No, hang on,
no.
just chill out. It's not a spoiler. It's like, it makes sense of like what happens when you beat the temples.
Oh, when you beat the temples?
And then, then when you go to fight Ganon.
Can you please? I'm sorry.
Okay. It basically just making a point that like, you beat the temples, and then, you don't have to beat the temples, but like when you beat the temples, you get these special powers that help you when you're going around. So it's like free hearts, blah, blah, blah. And so, but you don't have to do any of that. You could just go out and grind for weapons again, go fight the final boss.
But isn't that then making the whole thing pointless?
But
like, if,
so
if you can just beat the final boss
getting.
Without having to play the game, then doesn't that kind of like serve the same purpose?
Right, but this is what I'm getting at, is that in Destiny, I'm just getting more armor and I'm getting more gear and I'm grinding to just kind of have it. It doesn't really like help. It doesn't help me. It's not like World of Warcraft or something else where it's like, oh, well, then I can take this and fight in a 300 person raid and actually deal some damage.
Yeah.
You just kind of have it. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, I don't need to do any of that stuff, but maybe I just want to beat this one temple because I get an attack that if I get 3 basically invincible blocks that reflect damage back to the opponent. That could be kind of useful in the boss fight. So like, I'm going to go do this temple. You could skip all the other stuff if you wanted, but if you want to, you can incentivize and do that. And the payoff isn't just like, well, you needed to beat the temple to get to the next temple to do that. It's like, I can beat that temple if I want to benefit later in the game when I actually fight the boss. And there's a huge payoff when you do all 4 temples when you fight the final boss.
Thank you for not saying, because I'm still...
No.
I know I should have beaten it already.
So my point being, like, it was like one of the first times in a really, really long time that I've played a game, and I just wish desperately that more games do this, and maybe there will be in 2018 that do this, so tying it back into this coming year, where if I spend a bunch of time in a game, make it worth my while to have invested that time to then pay off later in the game. Not with like a joke, not with a side quest that it's like, oh, you get a secret side quest to get like a cool sword. Make it something that actually
that is kind of fun.
It is fun.
That's the thing that I didn't like about Breath of the Wild, is that you didn't get like cool armor that you could keep all the time. But
you absolutely did.
You definitely
really?
do.
There's like
all the dope swords that I got like broke, and then I had to go back to
weapons,
using twigs.
yes.
Yeah.
But then that's why you go get the Master Sword, because it recharges.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
So anyway, but it was just one of those games where I haven't played a game in a really, really long time that rewarded me for the time I invested in it. Because I think that's what I'm struggling with wanting to keep investing, is I'm having like a gamer existential crisis, I think, recently, just with managing my time and what do I want to do. And when I had more time, it's like, yeah, I'll sit and play Persona for 20 hours, but now it's like, well, why do I want to play this game or that game or this game? And so for recently, it's like Overwatch. It's like, well, I'm watching the league, I'm investing in that, I'm getting better as a player, I'm enjoying leveling up, I'm getting to play in this competitive seasons, blah blah blah. So to me, it's like there's a little more. I'm not saying payoff is in like, so I'm gonna go pro, but just I feel okay. I didn't just like shoot zombies for 40 minutes, which if that's your thing, like
hey,
go
fun,
for it.
Yeah,
but for long
we're kind of like
periods.
belaboring the point because we're arguing like different play styles.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
I'm
you
speaking
enjoy
from my
Destiny,
side.
then you're a bad gamer.
No.
It feels like we're going into that territory.
No. Not saying that at all. More just saying that one of the things that stood out to me about Breath of the Wild is how it rewarded you versus how other major games that I've seen come out in 2017 that were huge didn't reward you or seemingly didn't reward
Battlefront 2.
Yeah. For example. So
Yeah.
You got to pay for the rewards in that one.
correct. Or what was the Assassin's Creed joke we were going to make Origins? It was like, this mission is only...
This
it's like-
mission, you have to pre-order the game to unlock this mission.
Correct.
Pre-order now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so dumb.
So things like that. But jumping forward, so Breath of the Wild, I would say I really loved Mass Effect Andromeda. I know that game got a lot of heat when it first came out because there were some bugs and some glitches and stuff like that. And
I think that game's,
so,
kind of
but
falling into obscurity.
yeah, well, the funny thing is because of how bad it did, EA was kind of made some assertions that they might never bring it back, which I don't think that's true.
Also, apparently they're adding, with the new Dragon Age game, they're adding more living elements into the
I don't know
game,
what that
What
means.
is
which
that?
basically means more ways for them to make money in a more
Oh boy.
microtransactions.
Correct. So I'm
Why-
probably not going
why
to buy
do-
So EA is corrupting BioWare.
everything.
and-
So I'm probably not going to buy any more BioWare
Which is funny
stuff.
because everyone hates EA, yet they have like so much power in the gaming community.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So, but anyway, so I did really like Mass Effect Andromeda, and actually one of my coworkers, I got him to, because he enjoyed the Mass Effect games. He was like, yeah, I was thinking about picking it up, and he picked it up when it was at like $12 on Amazon new. So he finally picked it up. He put more hours into it than I did. He was like, it was a fine game. I really liked it. It was great. I thought it was comparable to the originals and blah blah blah. So I think people got overly wrapped up in the press it got and didn't actually play the game because the mechanics are fun. The fighting is frantic. The guns are cool. The powers and stuff build on each other. I think the characters personally are better than the original 3. So I thought it was great. I have no problem saying that.
Yeah, I
I'll,
know.
I'll go to bat with
I
anybody.
think we've already exclaimed how
Yeah,
we're
we're
like,
like, yeah.
what?
So we don't need to prod at that point.
Yeah.
So I thought Andromeda was great. I'm gonna give a shout out to Sonic Mania 2 as my third game.
It was a very good one. I was thinking of putting that on there.
That was a really fun throwback to old school Sonic and old.
It was a
school-
development on the throwback. I think that was the nice part of it. Is
Yeah.
it wasn't just this like, oh, the remastered Sonic. It was like really, really well designed new levels.
They knew the way.
Yeah, they like
And then
they didn't
away.
redesign
They
it, or
moved
they didn't
away.
like remaster it. They literally made a new
They
Sonic
literally
game
made a
that
new
was
Sonic
actually
game.
good.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was super cool, and especially to just keep. I think it's funny that old school styled games are getting made, but it's a nostalgia trip kind of deal, which I'm totally for. I'd rather have people make new games in the 64-bit, 32-bit era than have them just keep re-releasing and HD upgrading all this stuff. So like Shovel Knight is a great example.
Yeah.
And
There's one I also
Sonic
played
Mania.
recently. I don't know if you got my message about that. There's a game I just got recently
Oh,
called
yeah, yeah.
Iconoclast. It's really, really good. They had an interview with the guy. It's like Joe Kim something from Sweden or something. And he made this game all by himself. And it's like a platformer, like 64-bit, but it's really like high-res pixel graphic game. It's very, very good. It's one of the few like platformers I've played where it actually has a really interesting story, because usually platformers are very linear, but like that's bound to happen because it's
sure.
a platformer.
Yeah.
But this one actually has a really interesting narrative to follow.
Cool.
And that realized for me too, I just want creative, like, sorry to kind of come off of this, kind of comes from Sonic Mania and your point, but like what I would want to see in 2018 is just more, it's a very vague statement, but just more fun games.
No,
More games that are
I
just
totally
like
know what you mean.
enjoyable to play, because like
Yeah.
I feel like with the Switch though, we're definitely seeing
seeing that.
Like,
Yeah,
the
like-
indies are just like blowing up, on
and
the
they're good
Switch.
indies
Yeah.
too. They're not just like these random companies just
Yeah.
throwing crap at the Switch just to like like the Wii, but
Yeah.
it's actually like Nintendo is sifting through and being like, okay, these are good games that we could put on our Switch, or like this is a successful Steam game, so let's put it on our Switch and stuff like that. And an amazing move to make, because that gives more that gives more encouragement to developers who are thinking about like these games. Like think of like a Hat in Time and Iconoclast. Like I see them as amazing games, but they were made by indie developers. This encourages people to like just step out and be like, I kind of want to make my own. I want to make my own game, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But there's like more. They're more willing to make a risk, and then even though that'll mean like many other probably really bad games, that also leaves more opportunities for good games to come out of that.
Definitely.
So
Yeah. Do you have a fifth one?
So that was 3. So Sonic Mania was 3. Sorry, I'll make it.
What
quick.
major are you again, Phil?
Religious studies.
Yeah, so he can't count either. And then the fourth one, I'm actually gonna give a shout out to Splatoon 2.
Shout out to Splatoon 2.
Splatoon 2. For people who don't know what Splatoon is, it's basically Nintendo's first-party third-person shooter, but it's all about ink. And it was one of those games where
for the kids.
It was one of those
squids.
They do it
For the squids.
kids.
I
They
do it for the
squid. They just knocked it out of the park with just fun factor. I think that's why I've always been on Nintendo's bandwagon with how fun their games are, but with so many of the Switch games, they were just stupid fun. Like it was just fun to sit down and like Splatoon 2, what you could do is you could literally play through 10, 15 matches in like a half hour if you really wanted to. And
the single player is super, super fun.
Yeah, the single player is dope. The multiplayer's fun. You've got the Salmon Run, which is like a shooter thing, but it's really hard but really competitive, and it's awesome. And then that's the one thing, as stupid as the Nintendo app is, they have a really cool system on there that I hope referring to what I hope other companies in 2018 do, is basically like incentivize people to play your game, not by money, but what they have is basically a online shop that you can use. You can order stuff on using game currency because it like is linked to your account. You can use Splatoon game currency that you get after each match, that you can buy stuff and then it sends it to the game, and then you can buy that stuff for your character. So sometimes like I'd literally, when it was just had launched and they were, updating it, they literally have hour markers. So it's like, this thing will be available for another 3 hours and then it's going to recycle. So you're like, oh snap, that hoodie looks dope. And so you'd order it, you send it to the game if you didn't have the currency. But the thing is, you could get the currency for the most expensive items in like maybe an hour. Yeah. So even if there were like 3 or 4 things that you wanted and the timer said that all of them were going to reset within like 3, you could easily get, just spend an hour and get all that stuff unlocked. Right. So to me, it was just like incentivize people to, I hope companies pick up on that, incentivize people to play their games and reward them comparably for the time that they invest in it. Again, another frustration with Destiny. I love the concept of Destiny. That like I really liked the first one, but I got burnt out because it was just like, I don't feel rewarded for what I'm actually doing.
Yeah,
it actually started off really strong.
Yeah. And that same thing with like Division though. Like the Division was like a really cool concept, but I didn't feel rewarded for what I was doing. And I hope that companies do that more. Is you don't have to make it crazy stupid. You don't have to make it like play our game for 100 hours and win $20. Just make it so that if I'm playing this and I want cool skins or I want cool guns or I want cool whatever, that I don't have to play it for 20 hours. Battlefront, whatever. So Splatoon 2 is really awesome. And it's like really easy to play. There's like 3 buttons. It's like move, fire, and then glide and jump. But it's like, it's just so frantic, and you can get really good really quickly and just learning how to maneuver. And
especially if you're playing all those little kids online, you just wreck them.
You just ruin them.
Scrub-a-dub-dub.
Yup. And then the last one is actually going to be Overwatch, and it did not come out in 2017, but Blizzard has made this game even more relevant than when it first came out, which is just astounding to me. And they've only made it better, and it just keeps getting better, and they just keep adding more stuff to it that's free, and I enjoy it more now than I did when it first came out, which I think is usually the case with most games, but specifically for a game like this, which is an online multiplayer focused shooter.
The more updated it becomes, the more playable, the more accessible it is for other players. Because I was talking with one of my friends who is a huge League of Legends player, and he was saying how many hours he's plugged into and stuff. And like I was saying, like I kind of tried it out, but I wasn't that good. He was like, no, like now is the time you should do it because because it's been around for so long. They're moving more towards a direction of updating it and making it more accessible for players that have never played it before.
Yeah.
And I think Overwatch, has always been playable for most people, but I think for that kind of, like you were saying, for an online game, the more updated it becomes, the more refined it is. That's just inherent because that's what their goal is to like, here's the game, but we're going to keep updating and adding on to it. So.
Yeah, but I love how simple yet complex it is, that there's so many different characters that you can play, but you don't have to play a DPS, which is like a damage per second character. You can play,
throwing your lingo.
Throwing the lingo. I've been watching so much of it that now I'm picking. But it's like you can play Soldier 76, who's basically a Call of Duty character. He's the only character that has an actual sprint button, but he also has the mechanics that he has a heal pad, so he can heal himself. He also has fully auto gun, and it's like there's different things that you can play. So if you're coming from a Call of Duty background or a Battlefront background, you can bring in those technical skills to hit targets and stuff,
right.
But you can add that in with other characters that are a little more fun to play.
And you just end up like changing characters and trying out different people. I've done that all the time.
Oh yeah. So there's like 4 or 5 characters that I've started using now that I never used before because the game has changed and like the quote unquote meta, which is basically like, one character might be super, super strong. And so then they have to kind of go in and nerf and make them less powerful. And so that drives you to other characters to try and counter them. And it just, it's like constantly getting better. And so now I'm like comfortable where if I had to, I could play almost any character on the roster, which is like fun, but you know, it took some time. So
if you had to say a main, who would it be?
Oh man, well, according to the numbers right now, it's probably Lucio, but that's only because
You're not taking him from me.
No, it's only because I've been solo playing by myself a lot. And when you do that, usually other people don't want to play a healer. Yeah. So then you have to play a healer, but then everyone else sucks and they can't deal damage. So then Lucio's the only one that can really, other than like Moira's pretty solid at dealing damage. But
Zenyatta
you have to be really
actually.
close. Yeah. But then again, Zenyatta can get nailed and he's pretty easy to wreck if you sneak up on him. So, but probably either Genji or Reaper. But Genji's probably more normal. Reaper is like for very specific situations.
Gotcha.
For some close combat.
Have you been playing Overwatch a lot recently, Phil, or not really?
I don't have it anymore.
Oh,
I sold it a long time ago.
Man.
But I was maining Pharah for a while, and then I got really good with Diva for a while.
Nice.
Dude, I was like almost better with Diva outside of the suit than I was in the suit. I would just like chuck my suit and then blast like fools, and I was getting like 10 kill streaks and stuff with her outside of the suit. So, but then they nerfed her, and then I stopped playing for a while. And
well, they buffed her now.
They buffed
her
she's
again,
probably one of the second strongest. Like she's almost on every team.
I need to get that game.
They gave her like another attack. Like she shoots missiles and stuff like that, and
she's got her
shield. Her shield lasts longer. Her bullets, I think, shoot faster.
Dang.
From her tank. So yeah,
I'm gonna have to get on that.
Yeah,
so she's like a perfect blend between a tank and like a more assault-driven character.
Yep.
So
then we could have a team. Join us.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get Overwatch again. I've been wanting to get a couple online games to play with people, but
what are you thinking?
Money and time.
Yeah, tell us about your 2017.
Unless you were
more,
but
no, I'm good.
I think that was your 5, right? Mine was very different than yours. I didn't play a lot of new games. I discovered the PS Vita this year. I didn't discover it, but I finally got one and played last year, 2017. So I played Persona 4 Golden last year. I probably played that the most out of all the other games I played this year. And that was one of my favorites. That goes down as being awesome. I still need to play 5. Like, I have all these new games that I bought last year, but I just haven't played them, like Prey, Persona 5. I want to play Horizon eventually, but it's kind of like, I'll be like a year behind, basically. Because, at this point, I'm not paying $60 for new games anymore. Especially seeing Horizon being like $20 on Black Friday, it's like, I'm just going to wait now. So I'm always going to be behind. But last year, it was kind of a nostalgia trip. I replayed through all of the Halo games. So that counts as one in my head, the Halo franchise. Other than 5, I didn't play 5. I have it, but I didn't play it. I played through all the BioShock games again. Still goes down as my favorite games of all time, probably.
I'd love a new BioShock game. That would be great.
That'd be really nice.
Yeah. That
Is
would be
it's
sick.
like the HD version? Because I heard it was really buggy or something like that. Or is it not that
It's
bad?
not buggy anymore. No,
Okay.
I'm sure it got
it's
patched
good.
out.
Yeah.
I really want to check because Bioshock Infinite's still like one of my favorite
The
first
first
person
one is
shooters.
fantastic.
The first one, yeah, in my opinion, the first one is the best overall. The second one has my favorite as far as like gameplay mechanics, and the third one's my favorite
Story wise.
story wise. The first one story wise is the first one's my favorite overall.
Yeah.
And then the second two, it's kind of like neither of them are 2 and 3. It's more like Infinite has a better story, but 2 has a better gameplay
Yeah.
mechanics, in my opinion. 3 felt a little bit too linear. I mean, they're all linear, but 3 kind of felt like an on-rail shooter more so than like a little bit explorative. But the story was just like...
It makes your brain hurt.
Yeah.
In the best way possible.
Yeah. So I did a Halo franchise, BioShock, Persona. On the Vita, I also played through all the Sly Cooper games again.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I was taking a nostalgia trip this year.
Mm.
And the fifth one, I'm trying to think of games I've played. I haven't played a ton of Switch games enough to give them. I mean, I put the year of the Switch because I'm still hyped on the Switch, but I'm not like in the same boat as you guys about the games because I haven't played them enough.
It's weird to think. I think I have like 110 hours in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I think
It's
I played
ridiculous.
it for like... I got to the first temple and then I couldn't figure out what to do and I got kind of bored, so I stopped playing it.
You gave up.
Yeah,
You never give up.
yeah. What else? What's the fifth one?
Any DS or computer games?
Computer? Oh, I modded Fallout 3 and beat that again.
Nice.
So Fallout 3 is one of my faves. New Vegas is better, and I started playing that one too, but then I started playing something on the DS.
I actually bought Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, for the
And-
PC or
Yeah, for the PC. I'm really bad at it. I'm not.
If you're
enjoying
not
it
used to Fallout, then it's probably gonna feel pretty different.
it is very different.
The first person shooter mechanic, it's basically like people call it like Oblivion or Skyrim with guns. Like the first person
It's not.
shooter
It's not
mechanic
an actual.
doesn't work.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. Like those stupid little iguana things at the very
The
beginning.
geckos, they're like,
And I like literally wasted almost all my bullets because I couldn't shoot them, and I was like, oh my gosh! And then I remember one of my friends was like, use your VATS.
yeah, the VATS is like pretty important in that one. Plus,
But I don't. It's sorry. This is my little gripe, but like it's just me personally because like I enjoy shooters. I think I enjoy shooters when like the shooting mechanic's really fluid. That's why like Overwatch is so much fun because like even for every different hero, it still feels nice trying to think of a first person shooter that runs really well like like BioShock Infinite, even though it's like a rail shooter, just the mechanic of just using your power-ups and shoot, like it just feels nice.
Yeah.
But with Fallout New Vegas, it's like I don't want to have to just like click a button.
well, I think at least the way that I think about Fallout is it's not really a shooter. Like people think it's a shooter, but it's not a shooter. It's a role-playing game. Like the point of the game is, I mean, obviously the way to kill things is with guns.
Yeah.
But Fallout started out as a turn-based strategy game. So like on the PC, it was a isometric like turn-based. So like
Interesting.
it would be like you shoot them, they shoot you, you shoot
Yeah.
them, whatever. So VATS is kind of like recreating that like turn-based strategy in real time. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't go into Fallout thinking it's a first-person shooter because
Yeah.
Fallout 4 works more so as a first-person shooter, and they kind of like shifted more towards the shooter than the role-playing game.
Yeah.
But New Vegas is like has the most depth once you get into the story and stuff.
Okay.
Because like your faction choices actually matter. Who you side with actually has real consequences in the world, and like people will hate you if you like these people more so, and those tensions actually make sense. Whereas in Fallout 4, it's kind of like sometimes the ending of the game just doesn't make sense because why does everything have to end with the Institute getting destroyed or whatever? Like, can't we come to some resolution? Like, there's and Fallout 4 or New Vegas has much deeper faction alliances and stuff.
Okay.
But the beginning is the slowest of all of the games. I
Okay,
think.
that's good because like
So-
I was really feeling like
Yeah.
the intro was okay, but like even just traversing and doing those quests, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is really
the first
boring.
part, like I was dreading replaying it because the first part is just so boring. But once you get immersed into it, I would say it's worth it.
Okay,
But
I'll have to.
you got to get farther into it.
yeah, I'll have to check it out again.
So yeah,
Give it a
I did
little more
that. I
time.
modded them pretty heavily, so they looked more up to date.
Do you have the goofy like big head mod?
No,
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, it was more of a nostalgia year for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Dope.
Yeah, that was the same for me. Well, not the same. I played more new games than I did.
yeah, you guys
Old
played a lot
school
more
games.
new. You guys jumped on more games than I did. This year.
I invested really deeply into the Switch this
Yeah.
year. There were a lot
I
of
initially
games.
did, and then I like pulled back because I was spending too much money on video games and sold
Yeah.
some games, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of like waiting now to jump into them when it's kind of died down. And
Yeah.
I'll just
definitely
I'll enjoy
invested-
it for
yeah.
what it is instead of, yeah.
I definitely invested more into my PS4 and like my RPG because I went on an RPG craze of
Sure.
like playing. What was I playing? I played Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. Was playing Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 7 back to back, and Persona 5 and Pokemon. So I just had a real RPG fix this year, which is good. I
Pokemon's
needed
another
it.
one I played.
Yeah,
I replayed through Blue and part of Gold.
Oh, Crystal just came out
And-
too, didn't?
Did you buy it?
I did. I reserved it, and I haven't played it yet because I was gonna play it Friday, Saturday, and then I picked up my DS and I was like, I really should beat Ultra Sun. I can't
Sure.
play Crystal until I beat Ultra Sun. So
Sure.
I beat the league, and I'm going
Cool.
through like
Good
the
call.
post game stuff.
Cool.
I
So-
finally got speaking of Ultra Sun Moon, I finally got Espeon and Umbreon. They're such
go.
great Pokemon, but it is the most grueling process.
Because you got to do it
getting
at the
those
right
two.
time of day. And
Right time
all
of
that
day,
stuff.
you got to have like the highest possible level of friendship or something like
Yeah.
that.
Why won't you love me?
Love me!
Love me! Love me!
Just gotta feed him and pet him.
Yep,
I remember.
That's exactly what I did.
I remember having an Eevee in those games and not realizing how to get the friendship up.
Yeah.
Like when I had like the action replay, I would just feed them rare candies until they evolved, like stuff in their face, like evolve, love me, take my food, and it worked. But it usually lasted till like level 70
Yeah.
because there's no real friendship going
Well,
on.
in
there.
Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, like it's so much easier. Like those
you
games
can pet
really
'em and do all that stuff.
they really walk your way through because like
Yeah.
and they even have like in Ultra Sun and the Moon they have like the Rotom boosts and stuff, and so like literally
what are those? I have a bunch of them, but I've never
use them. They're so like if you're grueling, if you're feeling like you don't want to level up or do because like that's what happened with me is like it was almost turning nighttime, but I was leveling up for an Espeon, and I was like, I need more. What do I need? Do I need more friendship? Do I need more love? What do you want? What do you want from me? And so they had like a friendship booster,
Basically.
That's literally what it's called. And like it boosts like the level of. It literally says like your Pokemon will become more friendly with you now, and I just used that, battled a ton of Pokemon and people, and what do you know? I got an Espeon. So
Nice.
really sucked though because I did level up at one point and I got some and like it started evolving. I was like, oh, that was really quick, and it was a Sylveon. I was like, that's not what I wanted.
Oh gosh, Sylveon. Although fairy Pokemon can be pretty OP.
No, like
I've been using Mimikyu.
I almost is debating on.
I want to get a Mimikyu, but I'm
Dude,
not
he's so
far enough.
fast.
Yeah,
He always
OP.
goes first unless
Fast
it's
and
against
super
an electric
powerful.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
his like Play Rough, which is the fairy type movie now.
It's so
it just
grody.
destroys, yeah.
Because I was fighting the Totem Pokemon. I just fought the Totem Pokemon yesterday.
That Mimikyu, it took me 10 tries to beat him
Yeah,
in my
it's
original
brutal.
playthrough because all my Pokemon were like either ghost or whatever.
Mhm.
So he would just be like,
Yeah, I have a terrible mix of guys right now.
You gotta have a really balanced team.
dude, my
Yeah.
team wrecks this time. I beat the league in the first try.
Nice.
Like no contest even. It was
Yeah,
just
I feel like it's
just
gonna be the
shredded
same.
those fools.
I've been
Oh,
beating people
I've-
real. I think more so than last. I think it's because last game I only had Primarina. Eventually, near the end of the game,
Do you have all 3 starters?
well, no, not all 3 star, but I have like
Oh,
a
okay.
starter for each element.
Oh,
I did a cool-
you did.
Yep.
Okay.
I did a little cool experiment where I grabbed like my favorite starters from different generations. So I have, as of right now, I have a Swampert, a Meganium, and then Torracat for my fire, and then I have Espeon and Umbreon, and then Ampharos for Thunder.
Nice.
Ampharos.
I love.
Ampharos
I'm using
is
him too.
pretty
I think
gnarly.
The
Ampharos
only
is
thing
my
I hate
favorite.
about him is he's one of the slowest electric Pokemon there
Yeah.
are. He's
But it's
like he
spe-
never goes even against like a Poliwrath. He went second. I'm like,
Yeah.
the heck is this crap? He's giant,
But his special attack is ridiculously high.
Yeah.
So that's a nice
which is
perk to it.
awesome
For sure.
With Thunder Punch, just wrecking fools. Thunder Punch. I was gonna use my Ash because I got when I went to see that movie. They gave out like little Pikachu cards,
Or for like
and
the
it had a
Ash Ketchum
QR code,
Pikachu.
and you can get the original cat Pikachu, like or from the movie.
Yeah.
His hat from the movie. And so I got that on my game. I was gonna use him, but Pikachu's defense is terrible. So
Yeah.
Get trashed.
yeah,
Man,
Cool.
Pokies. We've got to
Pokemon.
have another Pokemon podcast with
Yeah, well,
Matt
after
Raps.
after I beat it.
yeah.
It's
We all
gonna
need
be
to
a
beat
while.
it and maybe beat Crystal too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of gaming though.
That is a lot of gaming.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna focus on Pokemon for a while and not play any other games. But
What about
That's my
movies? I'm sorry to cut into a segue, but like I was just thinking about like other stuff.
Let's
outside of the
do
realm of
movies
games.
because we're at an hour 15, so we'll
Okay.
wrap
yeah, we should
up.
definitely get to 2018.
Yeah, so we'll get to 2018 for a little bit, and then we can do movies and stuff. I'd actually love to get Chris on for.
Let's
a
do
movie
let's do a separate
episode.
movie TV podcast.
I can do that.
because I think
Yeah.
he'd
We'll
have
pocket
some
that
good,
one.
good insights too.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about? We've been seeing a lot of announcements and stuff for 2018. What are you guys hyped for as far as video games? There's been a lot of Switch announcements,
it's
a lot
just
of PS4 video. I mean, you could TV shows you're excited for. Movies
there's a
you're
lot of
excited
stuff.
for, but we'll have more video game discussion than anything.
Far Cry 5, I'm super excited for. It's all about cults, and it's based in the U.S., which is the first Far Cry to be
Ooh,
based in the
okay.
U.S. So
Now
it's
I'm
based
kind of
in
interested.
Washington.
Yeah.
I'll have to have you seen the footage or the
No.
trailers? Oh, dude.
Only
you're
reason
gonna
why is
wig
because
out.
like Far Cry 4 was really fun, but like I remember seeing how Far Cry Primal did so.
Oh no,
was
it's
not that good.
Far Cry Primal. I don't know what the heck that they were thinking.
Yeah.
Where that came from.
Yeah, that was
but
a
it
weird direction to take.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's not. So it's basically, it's like a more violent Jonestown ends up in Washington. So it seems very, very interesting.
When is that coming
I
out?
love like culty
End
stuff
of March.
too.
It's
Okay.
like March 27th, I think. So Far Cry 5, Spider-Man, the Insomniac.
Do we know that
That's
that's?
coming
I
out.
feel like
coming
it's
out
kind of
this
gotten dark.
It's coming out in June.
Oh, it's
I think
official?
there's
Oh,
like
okay.
they have an official date. If it gets pushed back, I won't be surprised, but they have an official date for it right now.
Okay.
So I'm really excited for that. Being a huge Spider-Man geek, and especially because from the footage they showed at E3, it seems like it's going to be very reminiscent of the Dark Knight, or not the Dark
Arkham?
Knight, the Arkham franchise.
Yeah.
With
and-
Spider-Man.
Which would be
Oh, with
phenomenal.
Spider-Man, yeah. So I almost hope it is verbatim a Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum type style game,
Yeah.
but just with Spider-Man mechanics and just a little different.
a little
setting
more
and stuff.
refined too in terms of like
Yeah.
movement around other
Yeah,
places.
so
and
I
stuff.
think that'll be really
Yeah.
cool.
I like that they're keeping it an independent game too, not just like a
Yes.
movie tie-in.
Yes.
It's like this is
It's
a
its own-
Spider-Man
it's
game,
its own
like the
thing.
Batman games.
Yeah, definitely.
That one will be fun.
I really hope that there's news on Pokies for the Switch.
Yeah,
I would
I'm-
freak out if it came out this year.
or
I
if
would
they,
love that.
I
I'm
will
hoping,
cry.
yeah.
I will cry.
The direction I'm hoping they will take for this is that they'll do a console. They'll do like a big story RPG like they did for XD or for Coliseum. Just like I really want that because
I want a mainline Pokemon game first though.
Yeah.
I want to be able to play like a Sun and Moon, but like better, like a Switch version, and then get like
Here's the thing that I'm hoping for is I do want that, but honestly, in my opinion, so this is my other thing that I really Nintendo needs to, oh, come on, Nintendo. Get with it. Bring Virtual Console to the Switch.
Please.
And bring
Please.
GameCube to the Virtual Console on the Switch. So I would
Yeah.
almost rather have them release XD and Coliseum on the Virtual Console and
would
then
die.
give us the new Pokemon. Because in my opinion, especially with the power that they have and seeing what Breath of the Wild can look like, what Mario Odyssey can look like, what Splatoon can look like, and all these games that they themselves independently have made for their system, there is no excuse for Pokemon, the new Pokemon game, to not look, one, freaking rad,
Yeah.
and two, also to be some kind of larger open world. Because I would lose my mind if it turned out that I don't want it like open world like Breath of the Wild, where you just like
I don't
go
think it'll be
everywhere.
open world,
But
yeah.
I think even if you think of it in terms of making it's like, all right, you have just like Sun and Moon, you have 4 islands that you go to, but then the islands themselves are almost like little chunks of the map, and then there's different terrains and stuff like that, and just and I think even just creating, I really hope too that they play up the multiplayer aspect in terms of battling, because I think for me personally that would get me way more invested into the game itself, is incentivizing matches and incentivizing playing against other players and stuff. Because I think right now you can do it, but to me, in honesty, it's just not as cool to like, train my Pokemon on Game Boy. But I think it'd be sweet if there were like special tournaments you could hold, or if you could do if they had like
people
special
come
challenges.
visit your island and you come do stuff.
Yeah, like whatever it is, or like if there's like in-game rewards that you can get by beating other players or like challenging other players and stuff like that, or if they almost have a quote unquote, like PvP zone that you can go in for online, and you can like challenge people or.
I mean, that's kind of what the castle is, isn't it?
Yeah, in Ultra Sun and Moon.
Right, but again, it's a very small, like that
It's
kind of
limited by the
mechanic.
DS's
But I'm saying like
capabilities, yeah.
make it a full. You have a full console at your
So basically, like a
disclosure.
console like a a handheld Pokemon game, but on the console, like
but
just
blown up to
blown
fit
up
the
to a
proportions
console
of a
proportion,
console.
yeah.
I mean, the
Okay.
chances are probably like 90% that that's what it's gonna be, because I can't see Pokemon, especially since there's gonna be no more games on the 3DS. I can't see them completely changing the mode, because
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, I
they're
don't think they're
definitely
gonna
gonna
like
cash in on.
yeah. I don't think
Yeah.
they're gonna do anything crazy, but I think
they
have
will
such a
eventually.
yeah,
but I think
there's
the
part of
first
me-
game will be they're gonna play it safe.
There's part of me though that I don't know if they will, because if you think about it, Breath of the Wild was a huge gamble because they went from a
Yeah.
very linear structure with their basically
Yeah.
their second most beloved franchise that they own.
But that
The
was
second being
that was
Mario.
Aonuma making that direction versus Game Freak themselves
Right,
capitalizing on.
Right, but what I'm saying is Nintendo or Game Freak making Pokemon has a huge opportunity to completely blow out of the water.
But are they gonna do it,
about
though, is the question.
Right,
That's-
but if you think
They
about
never
it,
have. So
Yeah,
well, I mean, they have in different ways.
but
I think
very
like
That's what I was kind of saying.
they've
why I
never like
wanna-
subverted the standard mode. Like
Yeah.
and that, in my mind, that's not a bad thing. That's what Pokemon is.
That's why people buy-
Like
yeah.
in my mind, I want Pokemon to stay the same.
yes,
And I want them to
100%
revolutionize
agree.
certain things, like the way they changed the gym mechanic. I thought was pretty well
Oh,
done.
I want the old gyms back.
Well, I
miss
do
the
want old gyms baback, but I thought like they didn't
It was-
change it in a way that destroyed Pokemon. Like they didn't
Yeah.
change it in a
Yeah,
way
yeah.
that it didn't feel like Pokemon anymore. And I don't want them to ever turn it into like, because like Breath of the Wild, like you said, it's not a Zelda game, but it's a
Yeah.
fun game. It's a good game. It's a highly rated game. Like I don't want them to do that to Pokemon, just because I'm selfish and I want Pokemon to stay the
Sure.
same.
Yeah,
But I think there's a lot of things they could do, and with keeping it the same style of game.
absolutely. I don't want them to make a different game. I just want them to completely capitalize on the opportunity
use
to
the
put
hardware
it,
that they have.
exactly to make it.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you that the reason they haven't done some of those bigger, and I don't mean revolutionaries and like completely throw the formula into a new thing, but more like create more intense ways for players to interact with each other, make bigger worlds, make it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, think of how crazy it was to go from black and white on the 2DS or not the 2DS, just the DS, to then go to 3DS and have X and Y.
That
Yeah,
was
that was a
And
huge
like that
jump.
was like, whoa, like
Yeah.
3D battles. We're talking like Pokemon Coliseum style stuff. Like what? And so I'm thinking of like how big that was even a jump. That's kind of what I'm hoping for this now that they even go into even more of like they have Pokken tournament for crying out loud. Imagine just like that art design and stuff. Not necessarily that fighting style, but like that kind of
That style
system.
design,
Yeah, that style design. Just even like, dude, I remember the Pokemon Stadium days from N64 and just like being able to plug in your own game cartridge and then fight your friends using your Pokemon. And so I just think it would make it a lot more. I think it would continue the game longer versus like, all right, well, I finished this one. Now I'm just going to wait until the next one comes out to play through that.
Yeah.
So I kind of want it to be
And I think they
longer
will
running.
do things in that vein, just because the hardware
Yeah,
is
we'll see if they do
bound
it
in-
on the first one.
bounds beyond.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, with the first one, like it's already in development, and if it's planned to come out this year, then we'll have to see like how much they try and revolutionize. But
Yeah.
either
But
way,
we have no
I'm-
news on it yet. It'd be
Either
different
way,
if we
I
had a
will
couple
cry
trailers.
when they announce it,
Yeah.
and I will
lose my
I will
mind.
pre-order the most expensive version that's available.
Yeah, but
I want all 5 versions.
I want all of them.
that's how I am with Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3.
That's another one
talk
coming
on
out
that
this
one.
year, right?
Well, it's said this year, but they've been pushing it so much that I'm just kind of taking it with a grain of salt. Because
You're not putting any hope in it.
I'm not putting any hope in it. Like, if it does,
They're
fantastic. I
bringing
will
Toy
be there.
Story, aren't they?
They are. Oh,
They have a Toy Story
That looks
World,
fun.
a confirmed Toy Story World, and a confirmed Big Hero 6 World.
Wow.
and confirmed Tangled too. That's where they did their first.
Okay.
That's where they had their like.
That's gonna
I
be
think their
interesting.
initial play, like when they were first showing like actual footage of Sora fighting Heartless and stuff. It was in Twilight Town. That's in there too.
The first scene of the game should just be you have to listen to Olaf sing for like 30 minutes.
talk about friendship and other people's traditions.
I'm a happy snowman. Like, can I kill him, please?
Can I?
The question is, can I stab my keyblade through his heart?
Sir, you gotta use the keyblade. That was a terrible Goofy.
It's like
Yeah, was that like Hank Hill mixed with Goofy?
Yeah.
Dang it, Sora, you gotta use your keyblade.
Use the keyblade. Whoa. I found the heartless.
Bobby, don't touch the propane.
Oh my god.
It'll make you heartless.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
Any other 2018 trends that you guys really want to die or go away? Z, you're giving some weird high hands.
I was doing the handguns because I was wanting your attention. It's really short. I'm super excited for Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that one.
So, little background, Wrath of the Right Witch is a game on the PS3, and it's beautiful. It's animated by Studio Ghibli, who makes, like I've said before, is like
the majority of the Hayao Miyazaki films.
They're like not his studio technically, but that was the studio he worked with, and they made all, like everyone says, like the most beautiful animated movies of our generation, our time. They animated this game, and it's Ni no Kuni Wrath of the Right Witch is very, very good, but the gameplay mechanics are a little janky and it's a little difficult because it's almost like Pokemon style. You use these things called familiars, and it's really fun. It's like fun and entertaining. I think the story keeps it going and just how freaking gorgeous it is as a game. But the gameplay and fighting is a little bit to be desired. But the second one, Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom, has a very interesting premise in that you're like rebuilding a kingdom. So you're like, I think, like developing a town and developing a kingdom and stuff like that. And like the fighting is like I don't know what you'd call it. It's like it takes place in like a round arena, but it's free movement and hack and slash and stuff like that. Like you run into an enemy and it's like you just fight, and almost like not Xenoblade.
Tales of Symphonia.
Almost like Tales of Symphonia.
But a little more circular.
A little more circular,
Sure.
and like you can move around and just attack freely. And I think that's like the best possible direction, because that was like the only gripe I had with Wrath of the White Witch, is that the fighting just is really janky sometimes.
Sure.
But now that it's taken more, almost like Kingdom Hearts, I'd say it's a very
Okay.
not as like, I don't think you can move as much as, well, maybe that's like the best.
I totally know what you mean.
That's the best comparison I can
Yeah.
make. It's kind of hard to nail down, like, because there's a lot of games where you can move freely, but there's limitations to like where you can go, or like stuff like that. So
Interesting.
that's the best comparison I can make, is like Kingdom Hearts style fighting. And so I'm super excited for that. That's probably the next one that that's like the one big game I'm really looking forward
Cool.
to.
Nice.
2018. That's coming up in March.
Any
I
trends, Phil, you want to die from 2017 and 2018?
Trends that I want to die.
Trends.
Microtransactions.
Real quick, stop
Yeah.
that Tide Pod thing. That's stupid. Anyone that's listening to this that's done
I
it.
feel like I haven't actually seen
Ugh.
anybody actually do that. Is that
I've
a real
heard-
thing?
I've heard our mom is a teacher at middle school. She teaches the 4th grade. She was saying like literally they had to like confiscate Tide Pods from
Oh
kids.
my gosh.
And I
That's
was like,
ridiculous.
oh, she was like, because she asked me, she was like, do you know about like the Tide Pod challenge? I was like, is that like, I remember it long time ago just
gosh.
being like a stupid joke, but I don't know, it's some reason blowing up again. And I don't know why.
I think because
it's-
people are actually eating them, and it's I don't know if you guys ever heard of this. It's called the Darwin Awards, and it was a thing. I can't remember who designed it. It was like, I want to say it was the Evolutionary Institution, but it's kind of like a joking awards that they would give to people who would die in the
Our
stupidest
advancing
way.
evolution.
Yeah, and so basically, like the whole thing was like, if you died in a really stupid way, it was probably for the world's best interest, because you were too dumb to like keep
terrible.
surviving. Yeah, I don't agree with it, but I thought it was hilarious.
I mean,
And
it's
so
funny, yeah.
So I was like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people up for the running if they keep
Tide Pod.
eating Tide Pods.
Yeah.
like it's someone who ate like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's just a trend that I've know recently has come to light, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not even in tune with those things anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
I'm not
I
into
don't-
it. It's more
yeah.
just like I know it's there.
yeah.
and present,
I've heard
and I'm
people
like, that's so
talking
dumb.
about it, and most of the things I've heard are other people saying other people are doing it, but I've never
Yeah.
seen people actually doing it. So I wasn't sure if it was just like
Mhm.
something somebody made up to be funny once, and then everybody took it and was like, all these parents are like, our kids are eating Tide Pods, and it's like on the news, like every local news station, and it's one of those things where it's like nobody's actually doing this.
Yeah.
But that's freaking scary. Things that I want to die are microtransactions.
They'll never die.
Yeah,
Sadly.
never.
Or at least
Have them
performance
completely-
enhancing microtransactions. If people want to buy useless,
PETs.
performance enhancing PEMX or whatever.
PETs. I like it.
I think that's just dumb and ruins online gaming.
Yep.
I think cosmetic crap, I wouldn't buy it, but if people want to spend money on that, that's their prerogative.
I'm totally.
And I mean, you guys have spent money, haven't you?
Yep.
Like
I
a little,
did.
like not a ton.
No.
But even people on like Glitch Please, like Adam or the guy with the big beard.
Yeah.
He talks about how he's dropped a ton of money on like Destiny and Overwatch and stuff. And it's like, if you want to spend money on things to look cool in a game, whatever, that's your thing. But
Yeah.
if you're spending money to be better at a game,
That's a problem.
that's just weird. That's not game. Like,
There was-
that's
I
not
know.
gaming.
In
It's
Battlefront 2,
If you're a millionaire, you
Yeah.
can just be the best at the game. And it's probably some kid with his parents' credit card, like
Basically.
screwing over his parents.
yeah.
I remember in Video Game Donkey's video, because if you want to like hear a funny perspective, like funny and very like detailed perspective on Battlefront 2, watch Video Game Donkey's video of Battlefront 2, and just the way he says it, and it's an actual thing. Kid you not, he was like, you can buy a loot box that automatically helps you win the game. That is an actual thing.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's
Like it
so
just doesn't
dumb.
make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense because people buy it, and
Right.
if people buy it, then the market will
For what
do
a
it,
game, for
because-
almost like for what a video game is, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like video games supposed to be like about competition, about whatever,
About
and
becoming
like, if
better,
you're buying,
yeah.
if you can just buy your way to the top, then what's the point of playing the game? That's just what real life is like.
Yeah. Well, just to chime in
The
too.
corruptness of money, man.
Yeah, and that's just what you do in real life. Buy your
Everyone's
way to
just
the top.
fighting for the green, man. It's
Yeah.
all about the dollars. But just to chime in quick, I think my issue isn't like I don't really honestly have a problem with microtransactions existing. I think I get vehemently angry with the idea of microtransactions when the company behind them seems to have this insight that is completely inaccurate of why people go towards them.
Yeah.
So for me, for example, perfect example. So Overwatch released for the league, you could buy team skins for each of the teams and the players. And so in my mind, I would like one of the reasons I always was infuriated with the game is like the loot box system. It's like I just want cool skins.
It
but I
is a
can't-
really bad
It's
system.
a horrible system.
See, if you could just buy the skins,
But then exactly,
maybe
so
I'll
that was
buy
my
'em.
point.
I'm not
And-
buying a dumb box
right.
to gamble.
Well, and so that
Like,
was my point. Is like what they did is with these skins, you can actually buy credits and then just buy the team skins for the character that you want. So for me, I was like, I will absolutely incentivize them to do this. So
because
what
then
I
you can
did-
actually support what you want to
Exactly,
support and not just
exactly.
buying some. It's kind of like
Random
buying
thing.
a booster pack of cards. Like,
Right.
It's kind of fun, but you realize after a while you're
yeah,
getting
I'm not
ripped
getting
off.
anything out of it. Right. So for me, what the rationale is one, I'm supporting Blizzard and I love their game, and so I do want them to know, like, hey, I do support your game and I'm willing to plug in a little bit of money to support it because I know that they need it. Not that they need it like they're struggling, but like, you know, it's like, hey, I like if someone was rewarding me for my art and the stuff that I was making, I hope that they would, you know, support that. But what I get irritated with other companies seemingly to grasp onto is like, oh, they're buying our thing, so therefore they agree with it. Ha ha ha. Where it's like, no, I'm supporting the fact that you're saying, hey, this thing right here that costs $2. And I'm like, okay, I want it.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
pay
a more
$2.
direct
Boom.
transaction.
Whereas the whole loot box system to pay $20 to get a chance at potentially getting something for $20 is stupid.
Do you know what it's like? To make a nice analogy, one Family Guy episode where he's like, "Whoa, Mr. Griffin, you could get the boat, or you could get the mystery box." And he's like, "Oh, the mystery box." And she's like, "Peter, just take the." He's like, "Take the boat." She's like, "Lois, Lois, it's like the boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could be another boat. Then just take the. We'll take the box."
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's microtransactions in a nutshell.
That's probably how the companies see it too. Is
Yeah.
like that's how gamers are buying it.
and that to me is, and that's a great meme, and I might actually make that and put that online somewhere because I think that'd be hilarious. But to me, that's exactly how companies are seeing it. Is they're seeing everybody as the Peter Griffin in this scenario where they're like, wait a second, but if I get the box could be anything. The box could be even a better skin than I would buy. And it's like, no, just give me the option to buy the skin then, you know.
Yeah,
and so,
But the problem is I forgot what the statistic is, but it's like 0.2% of people who buy loot boxes and stuff like that actually fund like the entire, like they spend enough money to fund the entire like program basically.
which is fine.
Which they call them like whales basically.
yeah,
because
that's
like
what I've-
and so like the majority of people don't want anything to do with this, but there's like two people who are dropping like thousands of dollars for some reason, and then they're like money. Which I mean, I don't hate them for wanting money because I agree with the capitalist system,
but you're dumb.
but at the
for
same
wanting-
time, like we're ruining video games in some senses. And it's like, if you want to ruin your video game, that's fine. I'm just not going to play it.
Right.
Like I it's kind of like, in my mind, I'm just stepping back a little bit and saying, if games have microtransactions, then I might
I'm
not
not
play
going to play
them
games
anymore.
anymore.
And
I
if all
100%
games
agree.
eventually get them, then maybe I won't play video
That's why
games.
Nintendo's
Or
still.
I'm just going to play
Or I'll just play
everything.
old games.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so in my mind, it's like, I don't like it because it just means I won't be able to play games anymore.
Yeah.
Because I can't reckon, like, it's just one of those things in my mind where it's like, that's the line.
Yeah.
If your game has specifically performance enhancing microtransactions,
That ruins the
PMTs, you're ruining the experience. Like,
Yeah,
if
100%.
if any other player can buy their way to the top, then I'm not playing a game anymore. I'm playing a game of who can puff their chest the most or something.
Who can spend the most money? That's what you're playing.
I want to play a game because I'm the best at the game. Or
Who can
because
spend
I
the
wanna
most
get
money
good.
versus like who's actually skilled at this game and who is the best.
Right.
And so that's the part that frustrates me.
Yeah.
And I hope I don't hope it dies. I hope the anger towards it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, where companies realize people do not want this, even if it means, like, the problem is the solution would be they raise the price of the game. Like because
Or
games
they
have
just
always
change
been,
the whole system that the microtransaction is built on. Like,
Yeah.
and I think exactly what you're saying is kind of what I'm putting forward too, is there's to me, I totally agree. But the whole reason of that rationale of like, I hope companies don't go forward with that, is because they have a misunderstanding of why people are actually buying into it. Some people are just stupid and they're putting thousands of dollars into a game, which I don't put any money past the $60 into a game. But what I would want to say is, like, if I'm spending, $5 on these, like I spent, like $20 to get the 4 skins for the 4 Overwatch characters that I main for the Boston Uprising, who's the team I root for. So those are the 4 skins I have. I play those characters, like those are the 4 characters I play the most. Mm-hmm. The problem is the message of why I did that is not sent to Blizzard, and not that they care about what just me, but like what other players who did that, what they're sending. They're saying, hey, Blizzard, I like that I can support the Overwatch team that I like. I like that I'm getting unique skins that I can play as. I like that I'm getting different skins than just the stock skins that you have available. And I want to support your game because I like it. And so that's why I'm spending this $20 on this thing. Not because, well, I want to get every skin in the game, and so if I can get every skin in the game and I only have to spend $20 and blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of trails along.
Yeah, I think the problem is there's a miscommunication between the consumer and the developers.
Yeah, your voice isn't being heard when you're purchasing money.
Your
like,
money,
that
like
message
the
isn't
only
really-
the only way you could actually speak with your money is to not buy it at all.
But I don't think that's true. But I think...
And that's what I'm arguing is people need to speak up more and say, like, this is what, like, we
I am
will
not-
not stand for
yeah.
this crap. Like, this is what we want. This is what we don't want. And if you're going to do this, we're not buying your game anymore. And we're not buying your crap anymore. But, like, just spending your money not saying anything, like, they're not going to hear that because why would they? Like,
right.
If people are spending the money, then
which
that's all
I
they
totally
need to
agree.
Because the money speaks.
I totally agree. But the hard part is you still get the idiots who blow thousands of dollars on Battlefront 2 loot boxes because that's just they're dumb.
And that's why I'm making the argument that I hope that the argument against them gets louder than the people spending the money.
Sure.
And they realize that the detriment against their brand, basically like people spamming Disney and saying, hey, you're the thing that you own is being destroyed by EA and they're soiling the Star Wars name.
That was a huge
and that actually
step.
like made a huge step forward. Disney's like, okay, we need to take a step back here and figure out. And it's
Right.
not because Disney's like, oh, we care about gamers and we want whatever, but they're like, EA is doing something to the Star Wars brand that doesn't sound very good for what we want it to be looking like. We don't want them to. We want people thinking Star Wars is associated with gambling or whatever. And so it's kind of like we need to make it clear as a gaming industry what we want and what we don't want.
Right.
Because our money doesn't speak for us. The only thing our money says is, I support this.
Mm-hmm.
Our money has no nuanced voice of like, I support the fact that we can buy single skins or whatever, because the money speaks. Like, the money is just telling them that this is okay.
They're not going to see the $60 you put down on the game and be like, well, thanks so and so for supporting my game, and I really appreciate. Like, that's why I think like I've moved more towards like checking out indie games and playing indie games, because I've seen that's like, I know. Sorry, I keep citing Donkey, but he has such a great insight for this kind of thing and this stuff. In one of his videos, he was talking about he went to PAX, I think, one of the gaming conventions, and he was saying how like the difference of booths and difference of like games you play. So he was like, you'll go to the Xbox or the Microsoft stands and the Xbox stands, and there's like huge crowds of people, like 2-hour long lines just to play like the new it was the new Gears of War or something like that. But he was like, and then you're just gonna have like an employee that like doesn't know anything about video games, just like kind of directing people to go.
Yeah.
But he was saying you go to another stand where it's like this indie platformer. I think it was for Owlboy, like before it became really popular, which is a really, really popular platformer right now on PC. They went to the stand for Owlboy, and he was saying like we got to talk to the developers like in person. We got to like hear about their experience in building the game. We got to like play the game, and they explained to us like what they did and all that stuff. And that personable connection is like what you're wanting from these giant companies. That
so there needs to be some sort of system where we can communicate better with, and with like Activision and EA, it's like there's a disconnect because there's no way we can communicate with the developer. I mean, the developers don't even always have a say in it. It's a lot of the times it's the publishers.
Right.
And so there's a disconnect because EA is so big. They're like, we don't really care what you have to say because we're going to make money either way. And so that's why the voice needs to become louder than them not caring. And we need to show them that what you're doing is destroying your brand.
Right.
And it takes a lot, I think.
That's going to be a lot,
even with the Star Wars thing, like it took a lot of crap for them to finally say, okay, what we're doing is we need to figure something out. Because they even brought loot boxes back yet in Battlefront 2.
And they were kind of like, well, they're being shut down for right now. So I think a word to the corporation.
Something did happen, but
and it was very clear that Disney heard, and I think that's a huge win. But I mean, I think of the other example being when the Mass Effect 3 endings came out, people were livid, and they beat down BioWare's digital doors basically with emails and whatever to get them to change the endings, and they did, and all this other stuff. But so people do listen. I think in the digital age, companies do in general, not just gaming, but movies, films, Tide and their laundry stuff. Like they need to be more aware of all these things because now one little slip up or these like things have a catastrophic effect. And one person hears that kids are eating Tide Pods. No one's going to buy Tide stuff anymore because it's associated with idiots who go around eating laundry detergent. But that aside, that's a separate issue. I think specifically what you were saying, Z, I really like that insight. I think I want to kind of morph it a little bit. I don't want giant publishers to care about little people, like the
consumer,
all of us, the
person,
consumer. I don't expect them to do that because I totally know that they're a huge corporation. They're
making
in it
millions
to make
of
money
dollars,
and to do all this stuff. But I do want an understanding, and I think this is why I'm trying to champion what Blizzard is doing. I don't like that they have loot boxes. I don't like that they have all this stuff. But all the things in the loot boxes have nothing to do with my ability to be a boss at that game. And all the maps they release are free. All the characters they release are free. Everything critical to the game to enjoy it and to play it are completely free. All the cosmetic, all the other stuff that has nothing to do with the game and are just fun asides, you do not need it all. You can spend $60 on the base game and get everything critical that you need to play it. However, there have been major issues with other major publishers that seem to be guiding forces in the industry, which is, I think, what you're getting at, Phil, is EA and Activision are major dogs. And so when they start doing something, sometimes people look and they're like, well, EA made $6 million doing this. Maybe we should try it. And then everyone does it. And then they're like, boo, But then the lashback comes when now that game is tanked and Battlefront 2 sucks, or at least the multiplayer sucks because, people are living with it.
No one likes the first person either, or the single player.
I heard is rough too. But I think what I hope is just that, and I think this is a more general thing, not just about microtransactions, but that I think this is what's getting me frustrated about larger companies and just marketing in general for stuff is there's not an understanding of why people like stuff, or there seems to be, and it's interesting because the things that are doing incredibly successfully seem to be the companies that are listening very intently and very directly to like very specific yet very valid things. So like with the Wii U transition to the Switch, it was this gamepad is huge, it's clunky, I can't take it anywhere, it disconnects, it's tethered to this console, it has. But then they took that and like
the marketing campaign to sell it and stuff. It was like they took like a complete 180.
And so then when you get to the Switch, now it's like the greatest console ever made, and everyone's like, "Holy crap, what happened?" But I think what Nintendo did is they just listened, and we got a Breath of the Wild that is won how many Game of the Year awards? We got Mario Odyssey, which is acclaimed as potentially, I mean, some people disagree, but one of the best Mario games ever made. You have so many great IPs with ARMS that launched and, hit or miss, but still people loved it. You had Splatoon 2. You've got Pokemon coming out. You've got The World Ends With You, which, you getting these huge games that people are like, you're listening and we're eating it up and we love it. But no one else seems to realize that, not that you cater to what every single consumer wants, but if people are saying, hey, EA, maybe don't put microtransactions in your game, EA's like, well, we would listen to you, but you don't know anything. And then they do it, and then Disney's like, you got Walt turning in his grave because, EA goofed, and now they're being labeled as being a gambling ring, a digital gambling ring for kids. So to me, I hope that the digital age, as much as I gripe about social media and crap, I do hope it comes back as kind of a righteous karma on companies that are doing stupid stuff that shouldn't be rewarded. Reward the indie developers who are actually making, hey, I really love Sonic, and I wish people would make Sonic Mania style games. Well, as if this was the developer. Well, I'm just gonna make it. And then, boom, you get Sonic Mania. And people are like, what? Where has this been?
Yeah.
Why can't Sega themselves make this?
Well, no, that was the sad part is, Sonic Mania was an example of other people are becoming, people outside of the companies are becoming better at making games.
Which is great.
And that's what inspired, that's why it's funny with A Hat in Time, is it's I think because there's such a dry season of, no Banjo-Kazooie kind of games, no Mario kind of games, they, the creators of that were we just need a 3D platformer, and these guys aren't going to provide it, so we'll do it ourselves. And then, lo and behold, you get a great game like that. And that's why I kind of comparing the two a little bit, because people have made examples. Because, if you think about it, Yooka-Laylee was not really a giant company game, but it had a lot of marketing towards it and a lot of talk, a lot of things, but it didn't really turn out super great. It wasn't a bad game, but it was very mediocre compared to
rated well.
Yeah, compared to
what
the
it should've
dudes.
been.
Compared to A Hat in Time, which I think is at a high 80 on Metacritic or something like that. Maybe a little lower, I'm not sure, I haven't checked. But that's just taking that example of, that's why I'm hoping, and because I can't really put faith in the companies because there's such a disconnect. Because I totally get the points you're saying, and I totally get that there is a sense of you want to be heard because this is just stupid. Stuff that EA is doing is stupid, and there's a general consensus that it's stupid. But I think, for me personally, I'm much more going to go towards the angle of I'm going to support these indie developers so that encourages them and that encourages other people to take that step and make their own stuff outside of so that there is more general connection with game developers. And I think that would, there's probably definitely a balance shift in that, and that'll cause stuff. But it's if I get more games like A Hat in Time, or more games like Shovel Knight, and more games I'm trying to think of another Kickstarter, more games like Owlboy and stuff like that. 100%, I'd put my money towards that.
Yeah.
So
I think what gets me riled up, and I think it's the same reason I get riled up too about movie industries and bad movies that I see, and the continued trend and seeing this is just this movie, but even worse is there's implications for the future when there seems to be a trend, especially when that trend is bad. So when microtransactions started seeping in, everyone kind of took a deep breath, and here we go. This is going to suck because now everyone's going to start doing this. And here we are. And EA is literally making it so that you can buy a loot box that wins the game and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's where I'm fearful but excited, because I think, again, speaking to the availability of people to make their own stuff, now we have the option that artists are like, pop music sucks, so I'm going to make my own music, and it's even better, and they can sell it, and they can market it, and then they can get huge. Or people are just realize it's just everything has become more accessible. And so I do hope that not even necessarily other big companies start challenging each other, but exactly like you said, Z, they start saying, you don't need a $3-4 million budget to make a AAA game. You can do it with 10 people. For crying out loud, Cuphead was how many people?
I think it was two. Well, I mean, they had the orchestra stuff, but it was started by two brothers. I think A Hat in Time was only 10 people.
Right.
Or a really small group that was it was people that were literally across the globe, sharing one part, then sharing another part, and then it just kind of came together.
And then So to me, I think it's a huge proof that you don't need to be a huge developer or director or movie studio or musician with a huge budget behind you to make crazy good stuff. So I really, really, really hope that 2018 is a year for, because I know there's a whole bunch of indies that Nintendo had announced that still haven't come out yet. You've got like Wargroove. Really interested in Night in the Woods. Is that? I think you're not talking about that. I'm kind of interested in that one. We won't go into the details about it, but I just like I want the industry to just like be more creative. It's turned too much. It's turned too much into a money machine, which it has to be because you need to make money to make more games. But like what seems to happen is it's like, well, now we're going to put in all these things to then make us more money, but we're putting in to make the quick buck versus build the rapport with our fans to then like I will buy into whatever. I'm at this point, like I will buy into whatever Blizzard does for Overwatch.
The funny part is Blizzard and Activision are the same thing,
right?
too.
Which is so weird. Yeah. But then again, you see though the leadership of Blizzard and the things that they're choosing to do. And it's like, I'm really interested in whatever their next IP is. And there's some of you that wants to even go back to Diablo and try Diablo out and see these things. Cause I'm just like, they're just nailing it. I dig it.
Yeah.
But it's also creating an incredible apprehension to anything that, EA or Activision or, trying to think of any other big developer that we usually hit on. Microsoft's kind of sneaking in there. They don't really have a lot of big titles. They're just kind of pushing the systems. But
although I did hear they're talking about a new Fable, which would be awesome in my opinion.
If it's good. Three was rough.
Yeah, 3 was bad.
So, but
if it's like 1 and 2, I'd take that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oof. There was my rant.
I think
one rant per episode.
in that vein, I think there's I tend to have a lot of pessimism about the gaming industry and stuff. Yeah. But I think going from that to like, it's kind of like this idea of, oh man, microtransactions are taking over everything. All of our favorite games are being destroyed by this money-hungry, whatever, gaming industry. But at the same time, like you guys are saying, we have all of these indie games and creative people, and Cuphead comes out, and all these games where you're just like, dang, what the heck is going on? And like we get Breath of the Wild and Nier and all these games, and it's kind of like all of that stuff gets washed out in the arguments of whatever. But then in my mind, I'm like, why am I paying attention to all these games that I hate so much?
Yeah,
why am I not playing all of these?
It is much more fun and much more popular to hate on something and have a negative opinion versus having a positive opinion.
And when you think about
and that is the thing I want change for. Sorry, not to.
Yeah, and like I'm saying is when you think about all of the things that crappy that happened in 2017 and that could happen in 2018, like just think about all of the fantastic games we just talked about that we played in 2017. Like
very true.
The Breath of the Wilds, the Mario Odysseys, like these games are changing the way the industry works. And if people don't want to get on board with it, Nintendo's like, well, peace out. We're going to make tons of money doing it.
Yeah,
and so like we don't have to play the Call of Duties and the Battlefronts and the whatever because we can play whatever games we like. There's still Prey for me to play that came out, like that's the same kind of game I like, and there's different single player games coming out, and it's like if they destroy one franchise, another one's popping up that we can jump onto and say, okay, I don't like this anymore, I'm playing this one. And it's kind of like we have more options, I think, now to say I'm no longer brand loyal. If you're going to destroy my crap, like I will change
absolutely
places. Maybe I'll become a hardcore Zelda or Mario fanboy now, I don't know.
That's absolutely what's happened to me, though. I mean, I used to be huge into 360 stuff back in high school because it was like, oh, I'm going to play Halo and Gears and Gears 3, all this stuff. But now I have taken a hard left turn back to more I don't want to call it traditional stuff, but just
fun games.
Yeah, just like fun games. Like I'm going to play Shovel Knight. I'm going to play Yooka-Laylee. I'm going to play, Doom and some of these other shooters and stuff, and just play these different games that aren't like quote unquote the generic AAA titles. And I think it's also creating, and it's weird that you say that too, because I think it's also creating in me an apprehension to want to try every new game that comes out.
And like my list, I had no new games that I bought and tried last year.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no incentive to even buy games because it's like I'll just play this when it's $15 because it's probably trash.
Yeah, right. Or if it's like, it's $15 worth of fun, not $60.
Yeah. It is funny seeing how like the games that actually have really good foundation and are actually like critically acclaimed stay $60 versus like the ones that like come out that are super hyped that end up being utter trash, like become $15.
And that could be just distribution, like Nintendo's, like Nintendo games. Nintendo games tend to stay the same price just because
Yeah, they're
because
just,
of the scarcity of the system and scarcity of distribution.
No, but I'm saying like games like Call of Duty or Battlefield or stuff like that. Like
those games drop hard fast.
They drop hard super fast versus like I think Nier Automata is still like in the $60 range. That's been out for almost a year.
Breath of the Wild is like 40 to 60 still, like not on sale.
Yeah.
So it's games like that still maintain their price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because they're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Games should
Absolutely
be worth
true.
it. We got to just be optimistic about
and
the year.
I think it's both trying times as far as the gaming community is concerned, but I think it's also there's a lot of things to be hopeful for, especially with the Switch.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo's made it clear like we're not getting into this whole crap because we're all about gaming and all about fun and all about enjoyment, and they kind of like basically with the Wii it was kind of like, well, what are you really doing here?
Yeah.
But with the Switch they're like, we're coming out swinging. We are showing people that we mean business. And even if you think we're crap, like, we don't care. We're going to sell millions of consoles, tens of millions of consoles.
Well,
and I think that's something cool.
Downplayed it because they were just like, we're just going to put it out and see what happens.
Yeah, they were like skeptical.
Yeah.
And so they didn't release enough. And now it's like they can't make enough that people want. And it's just crazy. So it's kind of like for every bad thing, there's like 10 shining lights out there in 2018 for us to hope for.
There's still a sea of stars above you, even on the
darkest
below.
nights.
Yeah.
No, but I think and we can close out. But I think just to end on the note that you made, Phil, which is as much as we like to like rant and complain about certain things, I think honestly enough we complain about the stuff we love the most, and like
I mean we complain because we love the gaming industry, and we don't want to see what we love burned to the ground.
Exactly.
Be destroyed.
Yeah. But I do really like the idea, and I think that's a problem that our culture has had in the past couple of years is we get so wrapped up in the uber negative that we like latch onto it for months, and it's like months on end we're still gonna be talking about this one terrible thing versus like okay, that was really bad but it kind of got resolved, so like let's let it go, you know. And I think instead moving forward of like really there's no reason, as much as I want to, there's no reason to keep talking about EA and the Battlefront 2 stuff. Game's dead. I don't really care about it,
especially since I'm never gonna play
I'm
it.
never gonna
it's
play
like,
it.
why am I
What does
wasting
it
so much
matter?
energy on this
Yeah,
crap?
like what does it matter? I'd rather get excited for how awesome Far Cry 5 is going to be. I'd rather get excited for what Detroit Become Human could look like. I'm excited to see what games get announced at E3 and what companies are going to do and stuff like that. Just like, again, I think we kind of said this on one of our early episodes, is we want to have fun talking about this. We are going to gripe and like offer criticisms about certain things, but in the end, we really want this year to be about just like looking critically at things, but also like praising things in the midst of being
focusing
critical.
more on the good things,
Exactly.
while being critical of the things that deserve it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of Far Cry 5, I'm kind of like excited to see where Ubisoft is going in the future.
Yeah, actually,
because it seems like of the big three in my mind is like Ubisoft, Activision, and EA of like those ones, and I feel like Ubisoft is kind of like starting to listen to people because with Assassin's Creed they waited 2 years instead of just churning out the next one.
Yep.
And that game actually looks pretty amazing, and then Far Cry 5 looks like it's going to be amazing, and then South Park. So it's kind of like I'm interested to see where they go too.
Definitely.
So there's definitely some shining lights even in those industries.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So, cool. You can check out our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. And I think I was just Googling the other day, and it looks like there's some other random Google-generated podcast hosting places that you should also find. I was actually able to email both of those sites and ask them that they remove our old stuff and just have our link to our new stuff.
You don't like our old stuff?
No. But it's more like if people are, it was like both the pop culture punks, but it was all our old content and our new content.
Okay.
And so if they find it, if you really want to, you can find our old episodes on archive.org. I think if you look us up, but like we want the drive to be towards all the new stuff because this is updated. So
they find a really poorly audio one where it was all four of us.
It was like one mic. Yeah.
Those were the days.
Yep. But anyway, so you can check us out there. We will have a new logo on this episode. I'm hoping to have it finished either tonight or tomorrow. Tonight being Sunday, that's
gonna be really cool.
It's all right.
Dope sauce.
I'm not a graphic designer, so I'm basically just like learning programs and trying to figure out how to make stuff. But
we're learning as we go.
Basically,
and by we I mean you.
Yep, more or less.
Josh does all the work.
Literally,
he does all the work. We just have the opinions.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
they
he
make it
also
fun.
has.
I also has the
Although he
opinions.
has all the opinions too.
See, that's why I'm so ranty.
What do we even do?
See, that's because that's why I'm so ranty. Because I'm so high strung.
Yeah, we got him doing everything, so now
Hey,
he just comes in.
if we
like, you know what?
if we did all the work, would that help? If we like just did more work, would you become less?
I mean, if you want to,
We start doing everything, and all of a sudden he's like super chill, and he becomes like the mediator.
man, it's all
Like,
good.
guys, it's okay. Everything's fine.
Microtransactions, it's no worries. It's gonna be okay.
it's moving in a positive
I don't think
direction.
I don't think I could
Hakuna
do that.
Matata,
either.
brothers.
Yeah. I can give you kindness. I can give you happiness. I kind of want to watch that.
I need to watch that again.
Gosh.
What is it?
Black Jesus.
Oh boy.
There's like one episode we watched at the Pentagon one time just as
I
like
think it's the first episode.
just to
yeah.
see what it is. And there's like this one part where I can't remember what cues it, but basically this one guy's complaining about something, and he's like, "Man, Jesus, why don't you give us this?" And he's like,
$1 million. He's like, Jesus, I want $1 million.
he's like,
He's
Jesus,
like,
give
what
me
do you
$1
want $1
million.
million for? I could give you
He's
kindness,
like, I can give you
compassion. I can give you
love.
love.
And he's like, "Man, Jesus, nobody want that." So it's just truth. It's very,
It's
yeah,
hilarious.
Very,
It's
a
like
very
street
interesting show.
Jesus, basically.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you later. Thanks to all our listeners. We've been watching I've been looking at the numbers. It's very cool to see
really
that there's
weird.
people who actually care about this at all.
So thank you.
Besides us, so thank you.
Yeah.
We
Thank
genuinely actually really do appreciate it. So please give us feedback. You can email us at popculturepunks.
Tell one of
at-
us if we're talking too much and want to hear someone else's opinion.
Josh sucks. I don't like him.
Can you get
Someday we'll get emails about
Yeah.
about one of us, and we'll be like,
That'll be fine.
then we'll focus it on that one email instead
Yeah.
of all the other ones.
Yeah.
People hate me.
Yeah.
Everyone hates me.
But yeah, feel free to leave us reviews on iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Stitcher or Google Play, and share with your friends if you really think it's
Yeah.
worth it.
Send
And
us
friends,
topic.
friends.
Send us topic ideas. I
Yep,
don't think you
can-
finished your thought.
You can
before.
email us at popculturepunks@gmail.com. We originally had it going to the Rebel Ethic, but we're kind of putting that aside. So you can email us topic ideas at popculturepunkspodcast, I think. Let me check. Let me get the actual, because I don't remember.
I remember it being
That's a
just
long name.
popculturepunks@gmail.
Yeah, let me double check. I think I put it in our old
PCP Angel Dust popculturepunks@gmail.com.
PCP podcast.
Angel Dust Podcast.
Is Angel Dust
Angel dust of the blowing wind of Kansas, and take me on my wayward son at the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. I love anime. I love Japan. Come check me out at the Pop Culture Punks. I love YouTube. Subscribe and like in the description below.
All right, it is popculturepunks@gmail.com, and it will be in the iTunes description. So if you actually just click on it, it should bring up like your email app or something. So it's really easy. Even if you just send an email where you're like, "Yo, I want you guys to talk about skateboarding." Deuces, Jake.
We may not do it.
We
but
may
we'll
not
take,
do
We will
it.
take your ideas into consideration.
We will talk about all our knowledge of the Tony Hawk games from the
Let's
early
go.
2000s.
We can have a nostalgia trip.
Yeah,
Or talk
buddy.
about like if you sent it like Butterfingers. I'll talk about Butterfingers. I like Butterfingers.
Butterfingers.
I love Butterfingers.
We'll have a challenge where we have to play Tony Hawk's or something.
Oh, dude, that'd be
I
fun.
suck at that game. I played
be
Tony Hawk Pro
fun.
Skater.
Dude, we
As a
tried
short-
playing it that one time with Busco.
That was so
I was
hard.
trash at it.
So
I was like,
bad.
this is way harder than I remember it being.
One of the
Where my
challenges-
cheat codes at.
One of the challenges I have for us to do is who can score the highest point total in SSX Trekkie on the first.
You're
first
gonna
run.
win.
Oh yeah,
That's-
absolutely.
oh,
It's-
I can't wait till I get to
come
verse him
on.
in Call of Duty.
That'll be fun.
Oh no.
We'll have to show you our challenge ideas.
Yeah,
I think I
So-
saw some of them.
And we're alluding to some new content
what's one that's
that will
catered
actually
towards
be
me?
video content. Hang on, there's some new. There's some new
Hold
video.
I want to be the center of attention. When
There's some new content that we're referring to that will actually be video focused content. So we're hoping to do some video
gonna be
game
really bad.
video stuff. And we'll have more of that to come in a couple weeks. The second week of February, we're gonna be recording
I think
some
that
stuff.
was when we were planning to do it.
And those will be going up on YouTube, and we'll be letting you all know on that episode. But one of our challenges I was thinking about doing for you is that we'd face you in Smash Bros. So it'd be like me and Phil versus you.
Puff Daddy, let's go.
no, the Puff Daddy can't beat the NES. That's just impossible.
So,
Okay.
but we'll do something like that. But one of the other challenges,
Or
I
whatever
have-
you want to do.
yeah,
'cause
whatever
we
you-
kind of
whatever you
picked
think
our
of.
own.
Basically,
so-
if you pick it, the whole point is to be like. The whole point is that I will absolutely destroy both of you in SSX Tricky. So
Yeah.
you
but then you have to
try
give
and
yourself
beat
some
me.
sort of handicap.
Correct.
Like in Call of Duty, I'll have just a riot shield. And you
so
can do
have
whatever
to-
you want, and you have to kill me before I kill you.
Well, it's not that. Well,
So.
can you find a gun and try to shoot me, or
No,
you have to?
I have
he
to
has
use the
kill
riot
you with
shield.
the riot shield.
So I might not win, but it'll just be fun. It's to generate humor.
Okay.
It'll
The
be
whole,
fun.
yeah, the whole point is to be ridiculous. Or one of them is going to be the three of us versus Chris in Halo. So 3v1.
That'd be
Chris
fun.
is stupid dirty at Halo.
Yeah.
I've played online with him
I don't
before.
want to find out.
Oh my gosh, it's
We're just gonna like become crying little babies at the end.
it's gonna be
I'll curl up in a ball.
Yeah.
it's gonna be an interesting.
I
time.
go to therapy
Yeah.
and they're like, so when did this first start? It's like, ever since Chris Rogers played me in Halo, that fateful day.
It was a dark day.
The Needlers.
Oh god.
The needles, they won't stop.
They won't stop coming.
Running
yeah.
riot.
Killing spree.
Killing spree. Running riot.
That's not the sound they make in Halo. It's
I
like
thought that's what the Arbiter sounded.
seen that?
Yeah. What do you think, Arbiter?
Master Chief.
Cortana.
Every time you
What do you think, Arbiter?
yeah, like Cortana, hack me into the enemy computer.
Oh my gosh, what just happened? Is that
Crazy.
a ring laying on the ground there?
What?
You lost your ring.
Oops.
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Rigorize. Dude, we should absolutely make a t-shirt that has Scooby with the red eye. What? Like a weed leaf. Rigorize.
Scooby, no, it's gotta say Scooby Doo, like Doo.
Scooby Doo.
If anyone, this is our last thought, then we're getting the frick out of here. Watch the first episode of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
It's a very funny episode where they play off of the fact that Scooby and Shaggy are assumed to be drug heads, and so there's like one scene at the
And
end,
they take clips from the original Scooby
and then
Doo.
cut it to make it look like they're all high. And so there's a scene where Shaggy and Scooby are sitting in the van. He's like, "Hey, Scoob!"
And there's smoke coming out of it.
There's smoke coming out of the van. He's like, "Hey, Scoob, I just got it, Scuba Dooby Doo." Yeah, Doobie. And then it's just like Scooby Dooby.
Oh my gosh.
It's a
That's
good
awesome.
time.
Yeah,
It's a
fun
good
stuff.
time.
On
just
behalf
like
of the
today
Pop Culture
was.
Punks, we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Kisses.
That was disgusting.
Spit on the queen.
Never do that again, please.
Do you know the way?
Do you know the way?
Do you know the way?
Stop.
Spit on the queen, brothers.
I can show you the way.
Voices in my heart tell me to throw it all away, to toss it in the wind and forget yesterday. But the crowd comes singing back with that same old song. You've got bills you gotta pay. What about job security? But I've been dreaming about packing it all up, 'cause the war in me just won't relent till there's nothing left but dust. So what do you do when the walls start closing in, and everyone you love tells you it's all just in your